The hero of our story was betrayed by his closest friend, and not only that, but his beloved also betrayed him. While he was on the verge of death, he suddenly found himself in a void before the three most powerful kings of all time. There, he trained with them for 100 years before returning to his world once again. What will he do with the power he has gained during this period? And will he be able to take revenge on those who betrayed him? This is what we will discover in our story today. Our story this time begins at the end of the world at the hands of monsters after they invaded Earth. It is revealed that one day, due to an open portal between different realms, vast numbers of ferocious creatures entered Earth. Consequently, humanity faced the threat of total annihilation. However, at that moment, an entirely different world connected to the open portal emerged. This was a realm of knights and magic, appearing to be the salvation from the ensuing destruction. The world was known as Einhart. Despite the overwhelming number of monsters spreading everywhere, the soldiers of Einhart fought them with great strength. Martial arts based on internal energy and the Dantian were also used to confront them. This introduced the martial arts world, known as Murim. Additionally, there was a realm called the Demonic Land, known as Gehenna. Its name alone evoked the very essence of hell. As for the humans who once ruled Earth, they were left to suffer in the chaos of the current era. Nevertheless, some individuals began to develop new abilities that enabled them to resist, utilizing the system to gain extraordinary powers. These individuals started helping people and saving them from the threat of monsters and death. They came to be known as players. The other realms, however, were not on good terms with these players. This became evident when Murim fighters observed players rescuing people, demanding they stay away and avoid causing trouble. But the players continued their mission, earning gratitude from the people they helped. One player warned the crowd to avoid the portal, as it posed a significant danger. Meanwhile, we meet our protagonist, one of the players, frustrated by the behavior of Murim fighters toward him every time they encountered him, as they always caused him problems. His friend explained that the Murim intruders often acted this way, disregarding humans, which was nothing new. He added that the Dantian power and mana circle of the Murim fighter they encountered indicated a high rank. At that moment, the protagonist spotted a massive monster attacking a car with people inside, screaming for help. He immediately used his abilities, opening a screen to display the situation. He discovered that the monster was a three-headed werewolf of medium rank, and that someone inside the car urgently needed rescue. He shouted at others, questioning why they were standing still, urging them to confront the monster quickly. Then, he moved to rescue the people himself. His friend called out to him, revealing the protagonist's name, Iron, and tried to stop him. Yet Iron didn't halt, despite his friend's reminder that monsters of this rank should be left to the Volcano Guild. Iron responded without slowing down, saying he understood but suspected the guild members were struggling. Iron pulled out a massive hook and directed it toward the monster, striking one of its three heads. At the same time, members of the Volcano Guild expressed frustration at his interference. Iron then used his unique skill, State Control, to reveal the abilities of everyone present. He began using his powers to subdue the monster, but soon realized it was incredibly strong, quickly depleting his energy. Iron called on his friend for immediate help to sever the monster's head. His friend rushed in, scolding him for never listening and putting himself in danger due to his recklessness. Using a cannon strike technique, his friend launched a swift attack, calling out Iron's name. Iron looked at him with a broad smile, calling him a true and loyal friend who always had his back. However, he is shocked as his friend approaches him from behind and attacks, declaring that he must kill him to survive. Iron falls injured after being stabbed in the back by his deceitful friend. Despite the trust and affection he held for him, the traitor stands laughing alongside members of the Volcano Guild, having betrayed his loyal companion. Despite this, Iron manages to escape, even as they continue to chase him, intent on capturing him after his fall. He reaches his home and tells his beloved that they must flee immediately. To his dismay, she too betrays him, standing there crying and apologizing as two members of the Volcano Guild emerge, waiting to capture him. At that moment, Iron feels despair and disappointment, realizing that everyone he trusted has betrayed him. The scene shifts to a new setting, where we see Iron lying in the mud, in a pitiful state after being captured. Behind him stands a figure pressing a foot on his back, ordering him to get up quickly, remarking that his current state is unbecoming of someone who was once close to becoming one of the greatest players. It is revealed that he is now in the Moyong region, a place where the bodies of monsters defeated by the Volcano Guild are discarded, known as a living hell. Iron narrates that he has spent 5 years in this condition, in this place, and attempts to activate his status display as he used to do, but it fails. However, this time is different, as he is startled to see the screen appear distorted. Gradually, the image becomes clearer, revealing that he has been chosen to become a vessel of chaos, accompanied by a warning that accepting this role might lead to the destruction of the world. Iron laughs upon seeing the word destruction, thinking that all he desires is an end to his pain. Thus, he decides to accept becoming the vessel of chaos, beginning to feel a strange sensation. Iron then finds himself in a new place that resembles the vastness of space, surrounded by an unfamiliar aura. Still consumed by the pain of betrayal, he hears voices around him asking if he is truly the chosen vessel of chaos. It dawns on him that he is in the mythical realm of Gehenna, which now dominates Earth, and he sees before him three kings gazing at him in astonishment. Iron realizes that these figures are none other than legends from the forgotten past of the three realms, now relegated to history. The first is the Silver King, who conquered an entire continent with his bare hands, named King Moyang. The second is the King of Einhart, who split the sky with his sword, and is known as the Sword King. The third is the Queen who slew gods and shattered divinity, the Queen of Gehenna, also called the Demon Queen. The three kings gather around him in this mythical realm, revealing that they are trapped here in the realm of chaos. The Sword King looks at Iron and asks about his condition, questioning if he truly is the chosen vessel of chaos, while King Moyang asks why Iron avoids looking at them directly. The Demon Queen remarks that it is only natural, considering he has been forced to come to this place. Yet Iron ignores their words, focusing instead on the screen that appears before him once more. There, he reads that after surviving this place, he will become the vessel of chaos, accompanied by another warning that the fate of the world hinges on the chaos he will unleash. In that moment, Iron reflects on those who betrayed him, considering this his opportunity to exact revenge on all who wronged him while they lived their lives happily. The three kings observe him, with the Demon Queen commenting that he is an odd young man. King Moyang adds that he is disrespectful in his behavior toward them, a sentiment echoed by the Sword King. The Sword King then asks Iron if he believes he will find peace simply through vengeance, noting that as the chosen vessel of chaos, the task seems easy, since the world will be destroyed the moment he entered this place. Iron finally responds, saying that after understanding what he must do, he feels relief, as he genuinely desires the complete destruction of the world. The Sword King tells him that this means his revenge will not be his own doing, but the result of the chaos that ensues. King Moyang adds that this also means his body and mind will no longer belong to him, and all he will receive is a message informing him of the world's end. Iron remains silent, prompting the Demon Queen to ask if this kind of revenge will truly satisfy him. Iron questions what she expects him to do, to which the Demon Queen responds with a wicked smirk, saying he should exact his revenge himself. It seems that the Sword King and King Moyang agree with her as she elaborates, stating that he should kill them and tear their bodies apart with his own hands to truly relish the feeling of vengeance. Iron looks at them with sorrow and despair, asking how he can accomplish any of that in his current state, having lost all his abilities as a player, and now being nothing more than a slave. The Sword King responds with surprise, asking if Iron truly doesn't know who they are, hinting that he could inherit all their abilities. King Moyang adds that if Iron can also gain control over the chaos within him. The Demon Queen questions whether revenge would still seem difficult in that case, asserting that if he thought carefully, he could even become the ruler of the entire world. They all offer to help him achieve that, promising that he will inherit all three of their powers. Upon hearing their proposal, Iron contemplates the true motive of the three kings in making him their disciple, but concludes that it doesn't matter to him now. What matters is fulfilling his personal goal and avenging those who betrayed him. Thus, he decides to accept their offer immediately. He looks at them and asks if he may call them his masters. The Demon Queen eagerly agrees, thrilled by his acceptance, while the Sword King is surprised by how quickly Iron made his decision. However, King Moyang remarks that everything is now as it should be. Iron recounts that from that moment on, he became the disciple of the three kings. He begins intense training under the guidance of his masters, the three kings. Iron narrates that time and death seem to stand still in that world, and after completing his rigorous and demanding training, he finally managed to gain control over the chaos within himself. Suddenly he finds himself back at the very moment when he chose to become the vessel of chaos, with the same man pressing his foot on Iron's back, asking if he was really lying in this filthy place. Iron then realizes that time had been frozen at that moment before his journey to the realm of chaos and everything that transpired there. At that instant, Iron uses his newfound strength to grab the man's foot and throw him aside with ease. As he strikes the man, he attempts to summon the status display, but it doesn't appear, prompting Iron to comment that he had anticipated this. He looks at his hands and notices that his body remains in the same weakened state, having lost all his abilities as a player, with nothing seemingly changed. Iron remarks that if not for the teachings of his masters, he might have believed that everything he experienced and the 100 years of training he endured were merely a dream. He recalls when King Moyang told him that upon returning to his world, he would lose all the powers he inherited from them in their realm. At the time, Iron was taken aback and asked why. The Demon Queen explained that it was because his powers would be far beyond the limits of the world he belongs to, making them uncontrollable. Moreover, the chaos within him would only heighten the difficulty of managing such immense power. When King Moyang notices that Iron still doesn't understand what he must do, he explains that Iron needs to rebuild his body from scratch in a way that allows him to withstand and control his new power. As Iron recalls his master's words, the man he struck earlier stands up and threatens to kill him for what he did. However, when the man attempts to attack, he is shocked as Iron effortlessly blocks his powerful strike, unable to believe Iron's newfound strength. Iron narrates that this man is named Shul, his supervisor who tormented him like a demon for the past 5 years, despite only being a 5th-level fighter. Iron declares that now, after rebuilding his body, he will never lose to Shayul again. Iron remembers King Moyang's lesson, where he said even a simple villager could defeat a weak warrior if they mastered the intent to kill within themselves. He explained that the intent to kill is merely a mental force that one can learn to control. Recalling these words, Iron gives Shul a terrifying glare and tells him he will tear him to pieces. He grabs Shul's arm and twists it until the bones shatter. Shul screams in pain, helpless as he watches his arm break and blood pour out uncontrollably. Iron continues to beat him relentlessly, tearing his body apart using the killing intent he mastered under King Moyang's guidance. He leaves Shayul lying motionless on the ground, drenched in his own blood. All of this unfolds before a gathering crowd, drawn by Shul's screams, who now watch Iron in utter terror. Iron stands firm, contemplating that reckless violence only breeds resistance. However, he concludes that fear is a much deeper force, embedding itself in the core of a person, ensuring that whenever Shul sees him, he will feel an overwhelming, paralyzing terror. Iron then decides he must leave this place immediately before the Volcano Guild members discover what has happened. As he attempts to break the chains that bound him, a man nearby stops him, asking where he thinks he's going. But Iron pays no attention to his words, silently breaking the chains with ease and taking off running. He reaches the opening of the pit where monster corpses are discarded, a place filled with toxic gases and substances from the decaying bodies. Without hesitation, Iron leaps into the pit, even though not even the overseers dare approach it, leaving the onlookers in shock. With great difficulty, he reaches the bottom of the pit, which is a pool of monster corpses and blood. Iron declares that this is the perfect place for his training in the demon blood technique. He recalls King Moyang's teachings about martial arts and secret techniques, mentioning the divine volcano technique as an example, but stating that the demon blood technique he was shown is at least 5 times greater. He explains that it is the most powerful form of martial arts, with a simple yet sinister foundation, stealing the energy of others and converting it into his own strength. The core goal of the technique revolves around blood, acting as a dark and malevolent sorcery that absorbs the life force within blood to enhance internal power. This is the essence of the demon blood technique, but it comes with one critical condition. Iron recalls King Moyang's words, where he explained that Iron must possess a dantian within his body. This is the source of power for warriors from the Silver World and serves as the equivalent of a magical core for players. King Moyang also explained to Iron that if he didn't belong to the Silver World, creating a dantian would be impossible for him. However, he added that there was still another way. No matter how many times he died, whether tens or hundreds of times, he must persist until he succeeded. This revealed the reason Iron descended into the pit of corpses and toxic gases, to use the transformation method invented by the 3 kings over 3,000 years ago. Indeed, after countless attempts and enduring repeated deaths, just as the kings had, Iron finally succeeded in creating a dantian within his body. Once the process was complete, Iron was able to recall each step of the transformation with perfect clarity. The first step involved absorbing the blood around him to form energy circles. The second step was creating the dantian within his body. This enabled him to activate the demon blood absorption technique. Iron remarked that the pain he endured during the process was unlike any pain experienced in this world. Iron further explained that the reason entry to the monster corpse disposal area was forbidden wasn't just because of the toxic gases emitted by the decaying bodies, but also because of the deformed monsters born from the death energy surrounding the corpses, essentially, the undead. In this place, Iron faced undead creatures of all kinds, including zombie goblins that attacked him. However, after his transformation and acquisition of new abilities, he was able to defeat them. Iron noted that each type of undead possessed deadly poison used in their attacks, and that they could only be killed by decapitating them. He added that in his old body, he would have been an easy meal for them, but now he saw them as pitiful creatures. We see Iron effortlessly severing their heads with his bare hands, without the need for any weapons. Iron declared that for the first time, he finally felt alive. He explained that this world was known as the Crimson Blood Realm, where he could absorb the blood of his opponents and convert it into nutrients that became his own energy. He also discovered an additional benefit of the crimson blood. The remnants of blood and iron fused into solid metal spheres. These spheres could be used as weapons against monsters. We see Iron collecting the solid metal spheres and using them against the monsters, stating that he would devour them all and leave no trace behind. After throwing the spheres at them, he attacked swiftly and with agility, smashing their heads with ease. He then gathered the newly formed metal spheres to reuse them, enabling him to kill large numbers of monsters in each assault. Iron remarked that all these zombie monsters were nothing more than prey to him. The more monsters he defeated and absorbed their nutritional elements, the stronger he became. After these victories, Iron stood tall, realizing that what he was experiencing wasn't so bad after all. At that moment, a massive monster appeared behind him, one unlike anything Iron had ever encountered in this place. The creature was enormous and far more powerful than the other monsters. Iron was surprised to see a zombie troll in this area, but he felt no fear. Instead, he remarked that this was the level of challenge he had expected from the monsters in this place. The scene transitions to a new location, far from the monster corpse pit. A man is seen crying, saying that he is going to die and begging someone to save him from his fate. It is revealed that the person he is pleading with is none other than the traitorous friend who had betrayed Iron in the past. One of the traitor's soldiers addresses him as Commander and informs him that he has summoned the remaining guards who were present during the recent events. When the guards enter, the commander asks them about Shul, the guard who had been overseeing Iron in captivity, and what happened to him. One of the guards responds, explaining that Shul was training a slave, but the slave appeared to be asleep during the session and suddenly grabbed Shul forcefully. The commander approaches the guard and asks if those are all the details, and if anything unusual happened. The guard replies that the slave stared intensely at Shul. The commander is surprised by this detail and anxiously wonders if this might indicate the presence of killing intent. However, he dismisses the thought as impossible unless the slave had knowledge of martial arts and internal energy. The commander then asks where the slave is currently. The guard replies that the slave killed himself after the incident. The commander questions the guard about the body to confirm the suicide. The guard hesitates and claims that the slave headed toward the monster corpse disposal area, insisting that the body must have already dissolved due to the toxins there. The commander realizes the guard is lying, as his report stated that the slave had committed suicide, likely to avoid entering the corpse area. Grabbing the guard by the face, the commander demands if he knows why they are stationed in this place. The commander tells the guard that their presence here is due to a group of useless guards being beaten by a mere slave, and that the death of someone insignificant doesn't concern him. What bothers him is the fact that the slave's biosignature disappeared without a trace, followed by this fabricated story of a suicide with no body found. The commander then asks the guard if he has any reason why his life should be spared. The guard, trembling with fear, begs for mercy. However, the commander shows no mercy and kills the guard on the spot in front of the others. Addressing the remaining guards, the commander orders them to choose between sharing the dead guard's fate or finding and retrieving the slave's body for him. One of them volunteers to take on the task of searching for the body. The commander orders them to move immediately, and they quickly run off. After they leave, the commander tells his aides that the guards will likely die from the toxins before finding the body. He adds that he and his group will head to the corpse disposal area themselves after completing their current mission. Clearly furious, the commander orders that no one disturb them until all matters are resolved. The scene transitions to 2 weeks later. Iron is shown standing alone in the corpse and zombie area, having nearly consumed all the monsters there. Holding a strange-looking sphere, Iron remarks that he has reached the second stage of the demon blood absorption technique, called self-blood. He notices an opening in the wall and speculates that toxins might be leaking from it. Deciding to investigate, he throws the sphere he's holding toward the opening. Iron explains that the self-blood technique allows him to focus his energy and gain additional benefits. At that moment, the sphere triggers a massive explosion in the wall. Standing unfazed by the blast, Iron continues talking about the self-blood technique, which has significantly enhanced his resistance to toxins, noting that without reaching this stage, his body would have already dissolved. He adds that he won't remain here any longer, and that the preparations he needed are now complete, fulfilling the purpose of his stay. Exploring beyond the wall, Iron discovers a new kind of monster known as high-tier beasts. He notes that these monsters are extremely dangerous and cannot be confronted directly. Among the most renowned monsters were dragons. Iron recounts the tale of one such dragon, the serpent dragon, Ojuglas, who escaped from the portal and caused widespread panic and fear among the people. He explains that the dragon was originally dead, but was resurrected after a long time, filled with rage. At the time, many players risked their lives attempting to face it, and a miracle occurred when they managed to kill it. However, this event led to utter chaos, as the dragon's corpse drew immense attention due to its extraordinary value. Dragon blood was regarded as the finest alchemical substance, and its bones could be used to craft rare and exceptional weapons. Yet Oyuglas was filled with poison, rage, and magic. Simply touching its corpse was enough to dissolve any person's body. For this reason, the Einhart Guild established the corpse disposal area, where the dragon's body was naturally cleansed using slaves to absorb the toxins. Iron places his hand on the skeletal remains of the dead dragon and continues speaking, vowing to reclaim all the suffering he endured here, along with all the rewards. He activates the demon blood absorption technique on the deceased dragon, Ojuglas. At this moment, Iron recalls his conversation with King Moyang when the latter asked him about dragon eggs. Iron replied that he intended to absorb those eggs upon his return. Moyang had responded that dragon eggs would help him regain tremendous power, but he also warned that the process would cause him unbearable pain. Returning to the present, Iron is already experiencing excruciating pain, just as Moyang had warned. He realizes that his mind is beginning to lose focus, and that without the training he received from his masters, he would have already died. Despite this, he feels an overwhelming surge of energy coursing through him as his internal energy grows from the dragon blood energy circles. Though the dragon has been dead for a long time, its power remains potent. Iron's agony intensifies, and he screams in pain as he notices his circulatory system becoming excessively saturated with energy. He realizes that if he stops absorbing now, the immense internal energy will react violently and lead to his death. Yet if he continues absorbing, his body might explode from the excess energy. He finds himself facing an impossible choice but had anticipated such scenarios beforehand. The only uncertainty was whether this was the ultimate way to handle the situation. Iron recalls his conversation with the Demon Queen, where he asked her what would happen if his body couldn't handle all this energy. The Demon Queen responded that dragons are highly revered, even in Gehenna, and that it's nearly impossible for a human body to withstand such power. However, she added that the solution was simple. The only way was to transform into a dragon. Shocked by her words, Iron asked if such a transformation was possible. She replied that after inheriting all their powers, he shouldn't be surprised by anything anymore, reminding him that his goal was to reclaim his full strength and that becoming a dragon was merely a step on his journey. Returning to the present, Iron reflects that the biological insights he learned from his mentor Virginia, the Demon Queen, will aid him in reconstructing his body and transforming into another form. He believes that nothing is impossible for him, especially after becoming a vessel of chaos and successfully controlling it within himself. However, the pain he currently feels surpasses what anyone could endure. Iron recalls the discussion with King Moyang and the Demon Queen, where Moyang suggested that transforming into a dragon might be the ideal way to handle this situation. In the Silver World, individuals who possess a dragon's body are given a unique title, Dragon Bone Physique. In this context, we see that Iron has finally overcome the painful process and now possesses the Dragon Bone Physique. The scene shifts to the commander and his group, who are confronted by something that utterly terrifies them. The commander asks what exactly happened, and it is revealed that they have arrived at the corpse disposal site, only to find it completely devoid of corpses. The commander remarks that such a phenomenon is impossible, asserting that even if a warrior wielded mana at an exceptionally high level, they couldn't achieve this. His shock deepens as he realizes that even the dragon corpse of Ojuglas is missing from its location. The commander orders one of his men to report the situation to the guild immediately, instructing him to inform them that all the corpses and toxins in the area have vanished. The soldier runs to carry out the command, but suddenly, a black sphere flies toward him, striking his head and causing him to collapse instantly, followed by an explosion at the spot. Hearing the scream and explosion, the commander and his group rush to investigate. They find the soldier burned from the explosion, and the commander demands an explanation for what caused it. He expresses concern, stating that if this continues, the entire corpse disposal site could be destroyed. At that moment, the commander notices someone pointing at him, addressing him as a coward who, despite being the current head of engineering for the Volcano Guild, still hides behind others. The figure is revealed to be Iron, who calls the commander the traitor Kim. Kim is stunned to see Iron alive and questions how he survived, also asking if it's truly Iron. Iron responds mockingly, expressing disappointment that Kim couldn't recognize him due to a slight change in appearance, or perhaps because he doesn't want to believe Iron is still alive. Kim becomes enraged as Iron reveals that he knows Kim betrayed him and became a guild commander, though he's even more of a coward than before. Kim yells at Iron to shut up and orders his men, the Black Falcon, to eliminate him immediately. The guards begin executing the order. It is revealed that the Black Falcon are highly trained guards for the leaders of a guild known as Hwasun, with skills and experience rated above level 90 by players' assessments. Iron comments that stealth is the Black Falcon's primary technique, and their ability to remain invisible poses a significant threat, but not to him, as he can detect their positions without needing to see them. He adds that for an ordinary player, sensing the internal energy of opponents would be impossible, but since he has reached the third stage of the demon blood absorption technique, known as black blood, he can now use black spheres, which split like shotgun blasts upon being launched at a target. When these spheres hit an opponent, they immediately begin absorbing the target's internal energy and magical abilities. This is precisely what happened to the soldier who attempted to report to the guild. Iron starts launching his black spheres at all members of the Black Falcon, effortlessly wiping them out all at once. Meanwhile, Kim watches the scene unfold, unable to believe how Iron has gained such immense abilities. He attempts to activate his skill display to analyze Iron's abilities, but as soon as he opens it, he's struck by a sudden, excruciating headache. When Kim looks at the information on the display, he finds it incomprehensible, as if it's encrypted, leaving him frustrated and even more confused. As Iron faces Kim's glaring eyes, he tells him he's well aware that Kim will try to uncover the secret behind his newfound power. He adds that he's certain Kim's curiosity has been sparked, as always, since he never faces an opponent without first gathering all possible information about them, fitting for someone with Kim's rank in the guild. Kim looks at him defiantly and asks if he's really that confident, then declares that he's no longer the same Kim Iron once knew from their days in the Dank group. Kim draws his sword, pointing it at Iron, and announces that he is now the raid commander of the Hwasun Guild. Continuing his speech, Kim accuses Iron of still being the same, always seeing himself as superior and pretending to be in the right. He shouts that Iron has never done anything except what he wanted, just as he used to, recklessly making decisions without considering the consequences for his teammate or partner. Iron responds calmly, acknowledging that he indeed plans to do as he pleases, then throws a black sphere toward Kim's massive sword. The moment the sphere touches the sword, a powerful explosion forces Kim to retreat. Iron follows up with another black sphere aimed at Kim, saying that despite Kim's claims of having changed and becoming a raid commander, the truth is that he hasn't changed at all. He launches the sphere, adding that the guild Kim belongs to clearly didn't train him as well as they should have. Kim attempts to counter the black sphere using the white shield magic. The shield successfully protects him from the explosion. Kim then screams at Iron and charges at him with his sword, but Iron easily evades the attack. Believing he's finally closing in on victory, Kim declares that this is the end for Iron. However, just as Kim raises his sword to finish him off, Iron uses another black sphere, triggering yet another explosion that forces Kim to retreat once more. Kim stands in disbelief, demanding to know how Iron has become so powerful. He yells, asserting that he was certain Iron had lost his abilities as a player, and demands to know how he's capable of this. Iron replies mockingly, stating that it's pointless for a cowardly traitor like Kim to know his secret. Kim's fury grows, and he attacks Iron violently with his sword, declaring in anger that this time, Iron will die. Iron calmly responds, reminding him that he had already made it clear that Kim's sword and fighting style are worthless against him. He then produces another black sphere. Kim attempts to counter with a new technique called wall shield, summoning earthen walls that surround Iron from all sides. Kim strategizes, believing that Iron has no means of attack besides the black spheres, and concludes that immobilizing him with the wall shield will neutralize his movements. Acting on this plan, Kim thrusts his sword through the walls, attempting to strike Iron. Kim then unleashes another technique, Weapons Night, causing a massive explosion that obliterates the wall shield and everything inside it, including Iron. Kim stands confidently, convinced that he has finally eliminated Iron. He believes that no one, not even the highest-ranking warriors, could survive such an explosion. But moments later, as the smoke begins to clear, Kim sees Iron still standing in the same spot, completely unharmed by the blast. Kim is driven to madness and demands to know how this is possible. He draws his second sword, preparing for another attack, but Iron interrupts, telling him it's already too late, then moves with blinding speed to grab Kim by the face and slam him into the ground with tremendous force. Kim screams in pain, unable to comprehend what is happening, or how Iron wields such incredible strength. Iron looks at Kim and remarks that it's all very simple, isn't it? The scene shifts to a chaotic world as Iron's voice narrates that chaos is a being that grows stronger by consuming worlds. It transcends time and space, traveling through dimensions in search of someone worthy to become its vessel. He adds that worlds dominated by chaos are consumed as sustenance and then disappear forever. Iron then speaks of himself, explaining that he trained for over 100 years to contain this chaos. We then see the three kings, with King Moyang stating that he has done everything he could. The Demon Queen asks what the next step would be if their efforts fail, to which the Sword King replies that there will be nothing more they can do. Meanwhile, Iron stands before a screen that informs him that crossing this passage will make him the vessel of chaos. Iron declares that the fate of the entire world hinges on what lies beyond this place. Suddenly, King Moyang calls out to him and asks for his name. Iron, startled, questions how he could be asking for his name after spending 100 years together. Moyang laughs, saying it feels like he's grown accustomed to Iron's presence over this time. He adds that Iron was once known as the ghost without a heart, blood, or tears. Moyang then looks at him and comments that Iron seems to have changed, as if he's developed some sort of attachment to him. Iron replies that his name is Iron Lee, but something strange happens immediately afterward. We see Iron throwing himself forward, screaming intensely. The Demon Queen catches him and tells him that he has succeeded, calling out to Moyang. Iron responds that he feels like sleeping, and Moyang explains that it's due to the chaos within him, as his body resists its power. The Sword King adds that chaos is attempting to influence Iron's soul, warning that nightmares will haunt him whenever he sleeps. He cautions Iron that if he falls into one of these nightmares, the chaos he has contained within him will resurface. Iron tells the Sword King that he had anticipated all of this, then looks at him and states that this is why he must kill him now. The three kings look at him in shock, unable to respond to his words. King Moyang then says that he had always known this would happen, revealing that it was part of their plan from the beginning. Iron mocks him, asking if he thought he was just a failed student. Standing tall, Iron declares that the goal is to trap chaos within a human body and then eradicate it completely. He tells them that what they now seek is the total annihilation of the chaos entity. The Sword King asks him, "If you knew all of this from the beginning, why did you cooperate with us?" Iron replies that everyone he knew had betrayed him, leaving him with nothing and unable to trust anyone. But with them, he felt warmth and security he had never experienced before, and now he no longer cares about vengeance against anyone. He adds that all he wants now is to repay their kindness. He then requests that they tell him their true names as his final wish. The three kings fall silent, visibly moved by his words. King Moyang is the first to reveal his true name, Shin. The Sword King follows, stating that his true name is Sigurd. Finally, the Demon Queen says her true name is Bergina. Iron responds that he has no further requests and declares that he will die here for his masters, the three kings. He closes his eyes, preparing for death, but the Sword King approaches him and tells him that he will not die here. Iron appears confused and unaware of what's happening, prompting the Demon Queen to tell him that he is not just their disciple, he is also their child. King Moyang asks how they could possibly kill someone like him with their own hands. Iron tells them that this means they won't carry out their mission. The Demon Queen approaches him and says that the chaos within him will be divided among them, and they will bear its burden together to contain it completely. She adds that the chaos within him was a result of their teachings, which makes their power capable of controlling it. Afterward, the dimensional links will be severed, and Iron will be able to return to the place he belongs. He asks her what will happen to them after that. The Sword King responds that they will be imprisoned somewhere in the world. The three kings bid farewell to Iron, instructing him to return to his world and never try to find them again. The scene shifts back to Iron at the corpse disposal site, reflecting on the immense power he learned from his masters and contemplating its limits. Iron feels the magnitude of his strength and recalls that he was on the verge of attaining a high rank. He considers testing his power against other humans, rather than his masters, and believes that facing humans will be far simpler. Iron notes that while Kim is not one of the top elite, his level is approximately 150 or higher. He contemplates gaining even greater strength that surpasses the demon blood technique, thinking that if he achieves this, no one could defeat him, not even the leaders of the Volcano Guild, or those of higher ranks in the Silver Faction, or even the strongest individuals from Einhart and Gehenna. Not even the elite of the world, known as the One-Handed, would stand a chance against him. After all this, Iron realizes that the revenge he planned for 100 years no longer feels justified. As he thinks about this, he holds Kim by the face. Kim begins to scream and plead for Iron to spare him. Kim continues begging, claiming that they had no choice but to betray him. Iron raises his hand and asks what he means by having no choice. Kim explains that if they hadn't betrayed him, they all would have died, and that their actions were the only way to save themselves, and even him. Enraged, Iron asks how Kim can claim he did it to save him when he is now the raid commander of the Volcano Guild, while Iron suffered daily. Iron directs a black sphere toward Kim, but Kim screams and offers to reveal the whereabouts of the others if Iron spares him. Iron responds that Kim betrayed him once, and now he will betray them too. Placing his hand back on Kim, Iron tells him that when he dies, the others will hear about it. He presses harder, telling Kim he'll go to hell now and wait for the others to join him soon. Then, he kills Kim. In the next scene, Iron emerges from the site and breaks the chains that had confined the slaves. The slaves and guards realize that the man who broke the chains and emerged from the toxic pit had defeated the Black Falcons and Commander Kim. Iron looks at these people and reflects that if not for his masters, his fate would have been like theirs. He understands that leaving them in this place will lead to their deaths, so he decides to take matters into his own hands. Iron begins launching black spheres toward them, causing panic and fear. Many try to flee, but the spheres hit them. Chaos, crying, and fear of death ensue. But they soon realize that Iron wasn't trying to kill them. Instead, he was targeting the marks of slavery placed on them by the Volcano Guild. Iron uses his power to destroy the cave where they were held. He tells them they can either die under the rubble or escape and live freely. The choice is theirs. Iron leaves the cave with ease, flying over the rocks. Standing on a high vantage point, he gazes at the world before him. He remembers that when he met his masters, his only goal was to destroy this world. After witnessing their sacrifices, he finally understands what he must do. As he walks, he declares that this world is filled with chaos, and he will consume it and make it his own. The scene transitions to investigations underway at the corpse disposal site. A figure remarks that what happened there is utterly absurd. He adds that he reviewed the report they received but never expected its contents to be true. The figure is revealed to be Cheong-woo, leader of the Red Plum Raid of the Volcano Guild. Looking at Kim's headless body, he remarks that it's no surprise the Volcano Guild is in chaos when someone like Kim, a beggar from nowhere, was made a raid commander. He then asks one of the guild soldiers about the information obtained from interrogating the slaves found at the site. The slaves are shown being tortured, but the soldier reports that they remember nothing, likely because their memories were deliberately erased. Cheong notes that even their marks of slavery were removed, and the soldier confirms that they found evidence of someone destroying the magical circle of slavery. Cheong thinks that whoever did this must be someone on the level of a master, then asks if they discovered anything else. The soldier responds that there was no trace of martial arts or players in the area, and that it seems like the work of Einhart sorcerers, or Gehenna demons. Cheong comments that it clearly looks like the work of Gehenna demons, and states that he knows their objective. At that moment, another soldier arrives using magical abilities, seemingly appearing out of nowhere. He informs Cheong that they've discovered that the dragon corpse of Ojuglas is also missing. Cheong considers that if Gehenna demons are behind it, they have many ways to utilize the dragon without needing to purify it of toxins. He orders the soldier to contact headquarters immediately and investigate any Gehenna demon activity from the past year up to the last month. After the soldier vanishes as quickly as he arrived, Cheong wonders why Kim was at the site in the first place. A soldier responds that Kim was there to confirm the death of a slave named Iron. Cheong's interest piques upon hearing Iron's name. He muses that if the slave in question is the same Iron who was close to obtaining a high rank, his name would have been known by now. Cheong asks if they found Iron's body, and the soldier replies that Iron entered the disposal site's pit after breaking the slave's marks a month ago. Cheong comments that Iron is surely dead, as no human body could survive the toxins in that place. He orders them to gather everything they can from the site, and then hunt down all the escaped slaves. The scene transitions to Dongdaemun in Seoul. Iron is shown entering a place for meetings and drinks. While there, he overhears people talking. Two individuals discuss the attack on the corpse disposal site, with one wondering who would be insane enough to attack such a place. A woman suggests that people believe Gehenna demons are responsible, and another person responds that they were likely after the dragon corpse of Ojuglas. Another individual adds that this could mean the end of the truce between the factions, and his companion agrees, saying it's likely as this attack violates the Volcano Guild's domain. Iron reflects that everyone seems to be talking about the Volcano Guild, but he isn't surprised since it's one of the 3 largest guilds in South Korea. Iron states that they'll only need to wait a little longer before he eliminates them all. He decides that the first thing he needs to do is locate Master Moyang's sect, as it's the best way to become even stronger than he currently is. Since he has no official status or existence in the country in his current condition, this is the only place where he can reach the people he needs. He heads to a bar, where the bartender asks him what drink he'd like. Iron requests a milk-based drink, but clarifies that he wants it without milk and with ice. The bartender is puzzled by the odd request, but the manager, overhearing the exchange, steps in and asks the bartender to organize the storage room while he personally handles Iron's order. The manager waits for the bartender to leave before speaking to Iron privately. He tells Iron that the code he used is very outdated and hasn't been in use for years, asking if Iron came through a time gate 5 years ago. Iron replies that he came from much further back, over 100 years ago. The manager wonders aloud if Iron is one of the demons. Iron denies this, and adds that such labels don't matter in this place, since everything illegal is handled here, including demon-related activities. The manager agrees and asks why Iron has come to this place. It's revealed that the manager's name is Jang, and he's the head of Seoul's black market. Iron tells him that he's here to work with them. Jang asks what kind of job he's capable of handling. Iron responds that he can handle any task as long as it's in a rank D gate or higher. Jang tells Iron he has the perfect job for him. He unlocks a drawer and pulls out several documents, spreading them on the bar for Iron to choose from. After examining the documents, Iron selects one and remarks that it involves a kidnapping operation. Jang confirms this, explaining that the operation involves luring beginners with promises of quick advancement, then trapping them and demanding ransoms from their families. He also notes that they target the children of wealthy families, meaning Iron could earn a lot of money from this job, with a payout of 200 million won. However, Jang will take a 30% cut. Iron gathers the documents and questions Jang about the nature of this immoral job. Jang becomes tense, grabs a hidden gun from under the bar, and asks Iron if he has a problem or whether he came to work or not. Jang brandishes the gun and explains that sometimes fools come here to talk about justice and try to ruin the place. He continues, saying that instead of thinking about such ideals, Iron should consider the people who rely on this place for their livelihoods, warning that their wrath will be directed at him if their source of income is cut off. When Iron sees the gun pointed at him and Jang's finger on the trigger, he reassures him, saying his comments meant he was impressed by the job. He asks Jang to calm the men sitting behind him and ease their hostile intentions. Jang smiles in satisfaction, admitting he noticed the men behind him, which gives him confidence in entrusting this job to Iron. Yang hands Iron a phone, telling him he'll contact him soon to set a date for the operation, and advises him to be prepared. He also asks why Iron hasn't ordered anything to drink while in the bar, noting that this isn't just an ordinary place. Iron responds that he'd rather not, to avoid any trouble. Yang jokingly asks if it's because Iron is driving and afraid of drinking beforehand. Iron replies that the reason is different. If he drank and fell asleep in this place, everyone in it would die because he fears the chaos within him might awaken again. Jang smiles, saying he was only teasing, and assures Iron that he's not obligated to drink anything and can do as he pleases. However, Iron states that he won't stay long and decides to leave, walking out as Jang watches him go, thinking mockingly that Iron is a young man carrying baggage and illusions tied to his past, and someone like that won't last long in this line of work. The scene transitions to another location in Namyangju at a rank D gate, where a large building stands guarded by 2 sentries. A group of young players arrives in front of the building, and one of them calls out to a player named Shul. Shul greets them and calls one of the boys Hong, introducing his teammates as the beginner players who joined them that day. He asks them to take good care of the newcomers, whom he considers like siblings. Shul asks Hong how he feels about participating in his first field mission. Hong laughs nervously and admits that he's a little anxious. Shul reassures him, explaining that his team has been working together for 3 years, and that a rank D gate isn't a particularly difficult challenge for them. He points to 2 other participants in the operation, and tells Hong they are freelance mercenaries, independent fighters who work for pay. Among them is Iron. The young players express concern upon learning that mercenaries will be joining them. Shul tries to calm them, explaining that these mercenaries are highly skilled and professional in martial arts, having worked with him for 3 years as well. He reassures Hong and asks the team to take care of him and the others. As Iron watches silently, he thinks it's natural for beginners to feel uneasy around mercenaries, given their notorious reputation for ruthless acts akin to Gehenna demons. He realizes that the manager presented him as a freelance mercenary for this very reason, but suddenly notices something unusual. Among the young players, he sees a girl who doesn't seem nervous or surprised by the presence of mercenaries. He looks at her, thinking that he might have finally found what he's been searching for in this place. The scene transitions to the camp where the beginners are being trained. At night, the team sits around a campfire. Hong sits with Shul and thanks him for helping him significantly improve his experience level. Shul asks Hong how he found the bus ride that brought them to the site. Hong responds by asking if he and his teammates can hunt independently the next day, noting that Shul told them this method would help them gain real experience. Shul reassures them, explaining that he has carefully planned everything and chosen a location where they can hunt safely without encountering any danger. He tells Hong that this will be their first real adventure and encourages him to get a good rest tonight. Hong expresses his happiness and trusts Shul completely. After Hong and his teammates enter their tent to sleep, Shul laughs with his team, commenting that he wants the beginners to keep believing that. Meanwhile, Iron sits alone by another fire. The girl who didn't seem afraid earlier approaches him and asks if she can sit with him. He doesn't respond, so she moves closer and sits beside him. She asks if he's truly one of the mercenaries, then follows up with another question, asking about his martial arts level, and noting that he didn't participate in the hunting activity earlier that day. Iron responds sarcastically, saying it's rude to ask a martial artist about their rank. The girl, startled, apologizes and explains that she didn't know because she's a beginner. Iron observes her with interest, noting that she didn't even try to feign embarrassment, which is quite telling. She then asks if she can at least know his name. Iron pauses for a moment, looking at her, before finally replying that his name is Iron. The girl, Una, thinks the name sounds familiar but can't recall why. At that moment, her friend calls out to her, addressing her as Una, and tells her it's her turn to take watch, and that she should get some rest afterward. Una stands to leave but stops briefly, telling Iron she enjoyed talking to him, even if only for a short time. Before entering her tent, she glances back at him one last time, thinking he seems like a good person, but also feeling an inexplicable unease in his presence. The following morning, the team begins their hunting operation. Shul is shown killing a monster with his sword. One of his teammates informs him that time is running out and that the gate is about to close. Shul calls out to Hong, instructing him and his group to leave now, Otherwise, they'll have to stay and face the boss monster. Hong protests, asking if they can accompany Shul to fight the boss, pointing out that Shul is capable of defeating it. Shul agrees that's true but expresses concern that Hong might get hurt. Hong insists passionately that he's a player now, and if he keeps running from challenges out of fear of getting hurt, he'll never become stronger. Hong pleads with Shul not to worry, assuring him that he's ready to fight alongside him. Shul smirks slyly, thinking to himself that Hong and his team have fallen into his trap. He praises Hong for having the true spirit of a player and assigns him the task of handling the surrounding monsters. Excited, Hong draws his sword and leads his team toward the monsters. Suddenly, a notification appears about the gate closing, and we see the gate shutting with the beginners still inside. Hong quickly realizes he's outmatched by the monster in front of him, which easily disarms him, sending his sword flying. He calls out to Shul for help, but Shul responds that he's busy dealing with ghouls, and that Hong must handle the monster himself. Hong finds himself in a dire situation as the monster proves stronger and larger than he anticipated, almost finishing him off. Desperate, Hong pulls a magical scroll from his pocket, admitting he never imagined he'd need to use it. It's revealed that the scroll releases a powerful firebolt. The firebolt shoots out from the scroll, striking the monster and killing it instantly. Hong laughs in relief and joy at his victory. Shul approaches him, apologizing for being unable to help due to the ghoul attack, and comments on Hong's luck in possessing such a powerful scroll. Hong explains that his father gave him the scroll and told him to use it only in extremely dangerous situations, as it's a one-time use item. Shul remarks that this means Hong doesn't have any more scrolls, and Hong confirms this, adding that they're also very expensive. Shul responds that this is good, then pulls out another magical scroll and shows it to Hong, piquing his curiosity. Suddenly, Shul utters the word, bind, activating the scroll, which releases magical ropes that completely tie up Hong. Hong falls to the ground in shock, asking Shul why he's doing this. Looking around, Hong realizes that all his teammates have been similarly restrained. Shul stands with a smug grin alongside his team, thanking Hong for walking straight into their trap. At first, Hong thinks Shul is joking and asks him to stop and free them, but Shul slaps him hard across the face, mocking him for his stupidity, questioning if it comes from being part of a wealthy family. He adds sarcastically, if Hong still thinks this is just a joke. Terror creeps into Hong as Shul places his sword near Hong's ear, threatening to cut it off to help him understand the situation. At that moment, Una suddenly attacks, striking one of Shul's teammates with her sword as she charges toward him. Shul is caught off guard by her assault, but manages to block her strike with his sword, demanding to know how she broke free from the magical binding. Una responds sarcastically, asking what else he expected her to do, then activates the sword aura skill on her weapon. Shul is visibly shocked to see her using this ability and engages her in combat. During their clash, he realizes she's a skilled martial artist and deduces that this is why the binding spell didn't work on her, though he remains puzzled since his intel indicated she was just a beginner player. Una counters by questioning whether Shul is truly a second-tier player within rank D or secretly a first-tier player in rank C. Suddenly, another voice orders Shul to step back, declaring that a martial arts expert should face someone of her level. The speaker is revealed to be the leader of the kidnapping team, the same individual Shul previously introduced as a mercenary, alongside Iron. The leader comments that he can tell from her sword aura that she's among the elite like himself, but asks her, even with your impressive fighting spirit, do you really think you can defeat all of us? Una looks around and notices that the gang has surrounded her. Realizing that there are 3 rank C fighters in addition to a martial arts expert among them, she understands that she cannot take them on alone. The leader warns her that if she doesn't make the first move, he will. He then attacks her directly, but she skillfully defends against his strikes. Mocking her, he asks if all she can do is defend, to which she retorts that she's not as weak as he thinks, and counters with a surprising offensive maneuver that displays her high-level skills. During the fight, one of the gang members tries to attack her from behind, but she senses him just in time and dodges his strike. Shortly after, 3 gang members converge on her simultaneously, making the situation even more challenging. Meanwhile, Shul speaks to Iron, commenting on how he didn't see him participating in the hunt and asking what he was doing. He then instructs Iron to go capture Una if he wants to earn his pay. Iron doesn't respond but calmly moves toward Una and her struggle with the 3 opponents. When Una notices Iron approaching her, she feels uneasy, having been overwhelmed by a strange sensation every time she's seen him since the day before. Even when their eyes meet, she feels an inexplicable fear she cannot understand. She silently wonders who this man truly is, and what his secret might be. When you approach her more closely, a strange and inexplicable feeling overcomes you, and she insists it cannot possibly be him. At that moment, Aaron stood silently, observing her, while recalling his memories of the chaotic world he once shared with the Demon King. There, the Demon King revealed that Aaron was the leader of the Divine Demon Sect. Aaron responded, stating that he was aware of the Demon Sect, but had no knowledge of another sect called the Divine Demon Sect. The Demon King then explained that the Divine Demon Sect was the origin from which the Demon Sect had emerged. Eren remarked that his understanding of the Demon Sect was that it opposed all powers in the world and sought to destroy everything. The Demon King asked if Eren believed his master fit that description, to which Eren clarified that he had not intended such an interpretation. The Demon King sighed and revealed that after his departure from Earth, the Muram Alliance had spread false rumors about them. He then added mockingly that the Muram Alliance was naive and pitiful, smiling as he warned Eren to be wary of them upon his return. In the present, Eren stood before Ona, who thought it impossible for her eyes to deceive her, even if others failed to recognize his true identity. She gazed at him, declaring that she recognized the energy in his eyes. It was unmistakably demonic. Eren's memories drifted back to his time as a captive among slaves, when a man told him that members of the demon sect still operated in the black market, claiming to rescue abductees. The man elaborated, explaining that he knew this because he had once worked in human trafficking there. The scene returned to the present, where Eren reflected on how he had never anticipated that such insignificant remarks could hold any weight. At that moment, a mercenary questioned why he was standing idly and prepared to attack Ona. Eren startled the mercenary by curtly telling him to stay silent because his breath smelled awful and advising him never to speak again. Ona stood there, confused, unable to grasp what was unfolding between them. The mercenary asked Sheol why Eren was acting this way. Sheol responded that he had no idea, mentioning that Eren had been brought from the black market to clean up if things got out of control. The mercenary retorted that he wouldn't mind killing Eren now, drawing his sword for an attack. However, the mercenary was shocked to find his sword broken, unable to comprehend how such a strong weapon had shattered. Eren had destroyed it using his black spheres, demonstrating to the mercenary that Eren's power far exceeded his own. Someone suggested they attack him all at once, while another proposed killing him immediately. They gathered to eliminate him. Eren calmly informed them that the gate was sealed, meaning he could kill them all without concern. A mercenary tried to plead for mercy, but Eren unleashed his black spheres, declaring it was too late. The spheres struck their heads without exception. Before drawing his last breath, the mercenary thought that Eren must hold a very high rank at least. After they all perished and exploded like those before them, Eren retrieved the spheres and sealed them in his hand. He then turned his gaze to Sheol, who had remained at a distance the entire time, not joining the attack. Sheol began to beg for his life. Eren looked at him indifferently and remarked that Sheol was still too afraid to meet his gaze directly. At that moment, Ona emerged from behind Sheol and struck him with a single blow of her sword, severing his head from his body. She then approached Eren and stood before him. Eren asked if it was now her turn to eliminate him. Ona replied that such a thing was impossible, as she was not reckless enough to attack someone she knew could defeat her with ease. Eren glanced at Sheol's corpse and questioned why she wouldn't want to kill him, given that he was part of the same group. She explained that after he had eradicated them all, how could he claim to be on their side? She added that he must have a purpose behind his actions, and she was willing to help him achieve it, no matter what it was. Ona asks him if he could spare her life. In response, Eren asks what she would do if he told her he intended to take it. She replies that she knows he would have already killed her if that was his intention. Eren acknowledges her intelligence. At that moment, a massive monster appears behind him, prompting Eren to ask if it is the gate's leader. He reminds her of her offer to help him and instructs her to start by eliminating the monster so they can leave the place. Without hesitation, Ona attacks the giant monster and successfully defeats it. The scene shifts to Gate D, at the same spot where Hong and his group, including Sheol, had entered. This time, they emerge from the gate after narrowly escaping an abduction attempt. Despite their relief at escaping, Hong feels anger towards Sheol for his despicable actions. They all bow to Ona, expressing their gratitude for saving them from the gang. Hong asks her why she hid her identity as a warrior and joined a beginner's team. At that moment, a strange man wearing a suit and dark glasses arrives. Ona informs Hong that this man will explain everything to him. The man speaks with Hong, promising to clarify everything and take him home as well. He invites Hong to get into the car with him. Hong agrees and gets into the car, which then drives away. Afterward, Ona approaches Eren and asks how she can assist him. He replies that he has only one question. To which faction does she belong? The Divine faction or the Blood faction? Hearing this, Ona's expression shifts to anxiety and nervousness, as she tries to claim ignorance of what he is talking about. Eren directly asks her if she has any connection to the demon sect and assures her that he will not report her to the Muram Alliance. In that instant, Ona's demeanor toward Eren changes, and she drops the pretense of confusion. She counters by asking if he himself is a member of the sect. Noticing her change in attitude, Eren asks why her demeanor shifted and what she would do if he were indeed a sect member. However, Ona insists on knowing the answer and repeats her question. Still, Eren does not respond directly. Instead, he reminds her that he was the one who started the questioning. Suddenly, 6 men in suits and dark glasses appear, surrounding Eren and pointing their swords at his neck. Yet, Eren remains unfazed by the blades, calmly using his power to warn Ona that he will ask her one last time. To which faction does she belong? The Divine faction or the Blood faction? The men around Ona feel an overwhelming pressure from Aaron's immense power. One of them wonders how a monster like Aaron could exist on Earth. The shock intensifies when Ona answers his question, declaring that she belongs to the Blood faction. She orders them to lower their swords, adding that Aaron is her savior. When the group objects, noting that Aaron now knows about their existence, she reassures them that if he wanted to kill them, he could have easily done so. The group complies and retreats. Ona tells Aaron that she has answered his question and asks him to answer hers. Aaron responds by saying they can now conclude that he is indeed a member. Following this, Ona asks Aaron for details on how she can assist him specifically, reminding him of her promise to help with whatever he requires. She also inquires whether he prefers to share his plan now or have her accompany him in executing it. Aaron replies that they will carry it out together. In the next scene, Aaron and Ona are shown in a limousine. Ona begins adjusting her clothing, apologizing to Aaron and explaining that the heat is unbearable. To Aaron's surprise, she removes a mask from her face, revealing that she had been in disguise. When she lets her hair down, Aaron sees her true face and expresses admiration for her beauty. Ona thanks him and asks whether his face is real or as deceptive as hers. He answers that it is his true face, though it has changed slightly from what it used to be. Ona also asks him if his name is real, and he assures her that it is. When she attempts to ask another question, Aaron interrupts her, stating that it is now his turn to ask questions. He begins by questioning whether Hong's group is unaware of her true identity, pointing out that she lied about returning the players to their homes. He also mentions that the mask she uses costs millions, as does the limousine they ride in, indicating that she has no financial struggles. He then suggests that this might mean she is recruiting people to become her followers. Ona responds tearfully, explaining that her plan was indeed to recruit and get to know people, but things became complicated due to Sheol's actions. Aaron asks if this implies that her wealth comes from the families of wealthy players, questioning whether this is the source of her riches. Ona clarifies that the money they receive is considered gifts, and that they do not demand exorbitant amounts, emphasizing that the trainee players ultimately want to achieve certain goals. Aaron understands her point and finishes her sentence, stating that they want a guild. Ona confirms this, explaining that they help players form a guild on the condition that they join their sect, creating a mutually beneficial arrangement. Aaron considers how players who develop their skills independently often aspire to join guilds. Ona then asks Aaron about the martial arts techniques he used at Gate D. Aaron objects to her asking a direct question about his combat skills. Ona justifies her question by saying she revealed the sect's secret to him, so she deserves to know this minor detail. He replies that he cannot use them currently, leaving her surprised. She asks if he means that he defeated a martial arts expert without those skills. Aaron explains that what he does is akin to shooting bullets, asking if that could be considered martial arts. He takes his turn to ask a question, inquiring about her involvement in the black market. Ona replies that they accept such missions to help their followers gain experience. Aaron asks if helping their followers involves kidnapping and killing. Angrily, Ona denies the accusation, explaining that they only target red players or those with bad reputations, unlike other groups. Aaron comments that she might also be recruiting followers, which Ona confirms. Aaron reflects that Ona seems genuine in her actions and determination, and that she and her group might not be as bad as Mr. Muang claimed, unlike the evil Hua Mountain Guild. Ona tells him she has one last question, asking if he killed the original Aaron and took over his body. At that moment, Ona feels as though she has completely lost her ability to move. She looks at Aaron, who appears to be using his abilities without lifting a finger. Ona realizes she is under his control, and thinks he has done it masterfully, as she expected, noting how similar he is to her. After a short while, Ona regains control of herself and begins breathing heavily. She asks Aaron if what he did was merely a warning. At that moment, the limousine stops, and Aaron tells her they have arrived, asking her to show him the way to their destination. Their destination turns out to be the headquarters of a massive corporation called Kang Group, led by Kang Chul, a man of significant influence in Korea and Asia. Aaron stands before the enormous building and remarks that it is hard to believe that the Kang Group headquarters is also the sect's base. Ona approaches him from behind and asks if he intends to enter the building. Aaron replies with a question of his own, asking if she would let him leave if he chose not to enter. Ona responds that he is free to leave if he wishes. Aaron counters by stating that he might leave, but she would chase him endlessly, forcing him to flee from Hua Mountain and the sect. Ona looks at him with great confusion, wondering to herself if what he said means he is the real Aaron and not merely his body. Aaron asks Ona if he would be pursued by the people here if he kidnapped her now. Ona responds, urging him not to joke about such matters, explaining that bringing him here was already a significant risk for her. Suddenly, Kang Chul emerges from the building, shouting at Aaron and approaching him angrily, accusing him of being the one who endangered his granddaughter's life. Kang charges at Aaron directly, telling him to prepare for his end. Ona tries to stop Kang, but he remains furious and ignores her pleas. She screams, realizing it's too late to do anything. To Kang's surprise, Eren successfully blocks his attack and stops him. Eren then asks if the sect always punishes those who try to help them this way. The scene shifts to a luxurious dining table filled with food, where Kang, Eren, and Ona sit. Kang laughs and admits that he misunderstood the situation. Noticing that Eren doesn't touch the food, Kang reassures him that there's no poison in it. Eren smiles, then begins eating, stating that poison wouldn't affect him even if it were present, but it's been a long time since he had such delicious food. Kang encourages him to try more dishes, all the while reflecting on how he investigated Eren and learned everything about him. He recalls that Eren killed his former comrades and was once a slave in the Hua Mountain Guild. Kang also observes how different Eren looks now, sensing a strange power emanating from him, something far beyond that of an ordinary player, an immense internal force. He wonders about Eren's true identity, confident that Eren's internal strength isn't greater than his own, but questioning the reason behind Eren's confidence. Kang tells Eren that he learned of his presence here because his granddaughter owed her life to him and promised to grant him a wish. He asks Eren to state what he wants, offering to fulfill his wish, but he mentions that he wants a promise from Eren in return. Eren replies that he knows Kang intends to ask him to join the sect. Kang confirms this, noting that Eren seems to know much about their sect and asking how he gained this knowledge. Kang asserts that he's certain Eren was never a follower of the Blood Sect. He asks if Eren was investigated before coming here, to which Kang confirms that no one is allowed into the sect's headquarters without them knowing everything about them. Kang then inquires if Eren joined the sect while working in the corpse department of the Hua Mountain Guild. Eren responds, something like that. Kang asks if Eren belongs to the Tien or Kun family, seeking clarification about his affiliation. Eren replies that he can currently be considered part of the Kun family. Kang questions what currently means, to which Eren states that he will explain it later. Kang smiles confidently and tells Eren that he will accept his membership in their sect, but Eren responds that he has no intention of joining them at all. This irritates Kang, who demands to know what he means. Eren replies that he cannot be under their leadership. Instead, they should be under his. Kang becomes furious, slamming the table with his fist and calling Eren arrogant. Ona quickly intervenes, trying to calm the situation after noticing her grandfather's anger at Eren's words. However, Eren remains calm and confidently states that he intends to become the Lord of Blood himself. Kang explodes with rage, throwing everything in front of him, standing face to face with Eren and telling him he has crossed the line. Ona again attempts to de-escalate the situation, pleading with her grandfather, but he tells her to stay out of it, emphasizing that requesting the title of Lord of Blood is a crime she cannot protect Eren from. Eren stands firm before Kang but internally reflects that he is weaker than Kang. Despite his talent, he lacks the time needed to develop himself, and he cannot currently use his internal power. Kang offers Eren a weapon if he needs one, but Eren declines, saying that using a weapon now would lead to disaster. Kang becomes even angrier, calling Eren arrogant for not preparing for the fight. Eren explains that he cannot use his internal power because it might cause significant trouble. Kang feels insulted and accuses Eren of coming here to diminish his reputation. Eren remains steadfast and tries to clarify that he's speaking the truth. Kang challenges Eren to attack him if he thinks he's strong, giving him 3 seconds out of respect for Ona. Eren asks Kang if the Blood Sect always treats guests as fairly as this. Kang replies that they are treating him as a guest, not as an enemy. Ona approaches her grandfather again, trying to calm him down, but Kang tells her to stay out of it. Ona looks at Eren and demands that he apologize immediately for what he said to her grandfather. However, Kang angrily asks her why she is defending Eren. Eren reflects that no one understands him, not even Ona, who doesn't grasp her own reasons for defending him. He looks at her, contemplating how little time they've known each other. Even though he saved her, the current situation seems far beyond her understanding. Still, he realizes that she senses something within him and knows he is the one who will save the Blood Sect from its current crisis. Eren becomes certain that Ona, as he suspected, is the priestess of the Blood Sect, the priestess of the Blood Lord. At this moment, Kang loses patience and attacks Eren in a fit of rage, calling him despicable. Ona screams, trying to stop him, but she cannot do anything more. A massive explosion occurs on the floor of the building where they are standing. Ona looks at her grandfather in shock, realizing that his power is fading, but she soon understands that his power hasn't disappeared. It has been stolen. Kang stands before Eren, recognizing that his power has been completely taken, and realizes that the technique used is the Blood Lord's technique. Eren asks Kang if he understands now and demands that he kneel before him. Kang immediately kneels along with Ona, bowing to Eren after realizing his true identity. Eren declares himself their master, the Blood Lord. While kneeling, Kang wonders how someone like Eren could master the blood art to such a degree. Aaron asks Kang what he plans to do now and whether he will relinquish the position of Bloodlord. Kang remains silent, prompting Aaron to ask why he is not responding. Kang admits that the truth is the current Bloodlord already controls the sect. Aaron asks if this means there is another Bloodlord, and Kang confirms it. Aaron questions why Kang is kneeling, then, to which Kang replies that he knelt because he sensed that Aaron's mastery of the blood art far exceeds that of the current Bloodlord. Kang continues, stating that he doesn't know how Aaron learned this technique, but acknowledges that the blood art is the symbol of the sect and proof of the Bloodlord. Aaron laughs mockingly and tells Kang that his talk about the blood art being proof of the Bloodlord is ridiculous. Aaron begins using his power, telling Kang that he now understands the reason for the sect's current state. He looks at Kang and declares that the Bloodlord he speaks of is incomplete. Aaron then uses his abilities, summoning black spears and aiming them at Kang, asking him about his position in the sect. Kang replies that he is the Left Guardian. Aaron informs him that as the Left Guardian, he should know well that the proof of the Bloodlord is not the blood art. He adds that the true proof of the Bloodlord is the divine blood technique. At that moment, Kang remembers that Aaron is correct. Upon witnessing Aaron's actions, Kang realizes that the power Aaron wields is undeniable proof of his claim, regardless of how he learned the technique. Kang and Ona kneel once more before Aaron, welcoming him as the Supreme Bloodlord. Aaron asks them what their actions signify, and Kang explains that it is a special salute reserved for the Bloodlord within the sect. Aaron orders them not to repeat it, expressing his disgust for it. Aaron sits down and asks Kang to tell him everything about the sect's current state, emphasizing the need for all details before confronting the current Bloodlord. Kang explains that the sect has 6 elders, with himself as the Left Guardian and another serving as the Right Guardian. He adds that the elders will not accept a new Bloodlord, as the current one has held the position for approximately 10 years. Aaron asks what would happen if he killed everyone who opposed him. Kang replies that each elder has a vital role, such as gathering intelligence or expanding the sect's influence, and it would be better to keep some alive as allies. Kang suggests that Aaron allow him to approach the elders to gauge their intentions. Ona appears in the scene, feeling a strange sensation and wondering if Aaron could truly be who she thinks he is. At that moment, Aaron stands silently, watching her. Aaron agreed that Kang should go to the elders, so Kang quickly left the place, while Una remained with Aaron. Una repeated the greeting she had previously said to Kang, prompting Aaron to command her not to use that foolish greeting again. The scene then shifts to a new setting at Kang's house in Namyang, where the house appears to be under heavy guard. Una discovers that Aaron is currently there. Later, Una is shown approaching Aaron, who is seated on the floor in his room. She addresses him as Lord of Blood. Aaron grants her permission to enter, and she steps in wearing a dark red dress, prompting him to ask why she has come. She replies that she merely came to greet him in the morning. He asks whether she wore this dress specifically for the occasion, and she admits that she did. Aaron tells her not to do this again, as it annoys him in the morning, but she responds that, as the priestess of the Lord of Blood, it is her duty. Aaron interrupts her, stating that if he commands her to do something, she must comply, and orders her to return to sleep. Una replies that her duty as a priestess requires her to stay up late and wake before him. Aaron tells her that he does not sleep, which she assumes to be an exaggeration. When she tries to speak again, he insists that he truly cannot sleep, and orders her to stop visiting him in the morning and get proper rest. Una insists that if he does not sleep, neither will she, vowing to help him train against sleeplessness, demonstrating her stubbornness. Aaron responds by commanding her, as the Lord of Blood, to cease her morning visits and act normally as she did at the gate. Una falls silent. Aaron then asks her about any news from the left guard, Kang. She informs him that there is no news yet. Aaron rises and tells her it is fine, as he knows what to do. Una asks about his plans. He replies that he intends to defeat the current Lord of Blood. He adds that power governs the world, and that he will prove to the Lord of Blood that he is stronger, thus resolving the issue. Aaron asks her to show him a suitable training spot within the house. His mind drifts back to his encounter with King Muyang, who had questioned him about when he would be taught combat techniques. Muyang answered that it was a good question, explaining that the 3 kings developed combat techniques designed to function in perfect harmony, with each technique forming part of an integrated system. Muyang warns Aaron that any mistake in learning or mastering one of the techniques will render him incapable of using any of them. He compares it to operating a faulty machine, where one malfunction disables the entire system. Muyang adds that this is why Aaron cannot use any combat techniques or weapons before mastering them all. At this point, the Sword King arrives, urging Aaron to try for himself to understand Muyang's point, and handing him a sword to attack. Aaron begins his attack, but recalls the pain he endured at that time. He resolves that he would rather rebuild his body dozens of times than experience that pain again. Aaron sits and reflects on having reached the Black Blood stage thanks to absorbing dragon blood, though he has yet to master it completely. He realizes that there is still dragon blood within him that remains unabsorbed, and he must purify it to extract only its vital energy. The scene transitions to Una sitting outside Aaron's room, which he has not left for a week. She anxiously wonders what he has been doing inside the room all this time, suspecting he might be training in the Lord of Blood's technique in an empty room. At that moment, the door finally opens, and Aaron emerges, exuding strength. He stands and declares that he has succeeded, having reached the final stage of the divine Lord of Blood technique, True Blood. The scene transitions to Aaron eating a meal prepared by Una after spending an entire week in an empty room without food or drink. When he notices her watching him intently, he asks if she would like to share the meal with him. However, Una's thoughts are preoccupied with how much stronger he has become in just 1 week, wondering how he achieved this without the rituals or sacrifices typically required for the blood technique. Aaron repeats his question about whether she will join him, and she replies that she will prepare a better meal next time. He responds that it is fine, saying she merely combines the ingredients, and asks again if she will eat. He then adds that he dislikes having guards around him because they are weaker than he is, and he calls out to the hidden guards to reveal themselves and join him for the meal. Una is surprised that he is aware of the squad guarding him, known as the Shadow Blood Unit. It is revealed that this unit consists of guards personally selected and trained to the highest standard by her grandfather, Kang. Una reflects that the squad's stealth skills rival those of the most famous assassination groups in the Demon Spirit Valley of the Aeon region. She notices Aaron's indifference to his own safety as he invites the guards to share his meal. It is understood that during the week he spent in the room, Aaron absorbed almost all the dragon blood, converting part of the black blood into true blood and purifying it to the highest degree possible. The next day, Aaron is shown contemplating that time is now the most critical factor, and he must take control of the blood sect quickly to minimize it. Upon exiting his room, he finds that Una has prepared a meal again. He reminds her that he said he would prepare his meals himself. She responds that she cannot let him do so while she is present. Noticing that the food contains an excessive amount of chili, he asks if she thinks the quantity is appropriate. Una kneels on the ground and apologizes profusely, but he tells her to stop. He suddenly falls silent when he senses movement in the house and informs her of an arriving guest. The scene shifts to the guards outside the house, where a figure attempts to enter. This person is the third elder, Bayek, known as the Cold Blood Blade. The guards try to stop him, and he asks if they know who he is. They reply that they are aware of his identity, but he is not authorized to enter by order of the left guard. Bake becomes angry, raising his sword and threatening the guards with punishment for preventing a sect member from entering. Nonetheless, the guards remain firm in their stance and prepare to face him with their swords. Beck warns them that this will be the last time he requests permission to enter, displaying his renowned skills. The guards, however, refuse again, apologizing that they cannot disobey their orders. In an instant, Beck appears directly in front of them with his sword, astonishing them with his immense speed. He remarks that their behavior is unbefitting of sect members, and they seem unable to comprehend how he approached them so quickly. At that moment, Una steps outside and calls out to the third elder. Beck is surprised to see her and asks why she is there. She responds loudly, questioning the reason for his arrival, and asserting that the left guard would not approve of his actions. Beck asks Una if she is unaware of what her grandfather is doing, explaining that the actions of the left guard amount to betrayal and are causing division within the sect they had finally united. He continues by asking how he can stand idly by without doing anything. Una responds that, as the priestess, she has chosen the new lord of the sect, and asks if he still trusts her. Beck replies with a question, asking if she can explain how the new lord has learned the blood demon techniques. She remains silent without an answer. Beck then elaborates that many claim to be blood demons, and suggests that this new lord might be one of them, or even a spy from the divine faction. He adds that even if this is not the case, there cannot be two suns in the same sky. If things continue as they are, both she and her grandfather will be accused of treason. Beck raises his sword and tells her that this situation must be resolved before it worsens, asking everyone to step aside as he does not want to harm anyone. However, Una refuses to move, standing in his way and asserting that her grandfather will not forgive him for what he intends to do. Beck responds that he is willing to bear the consequences, even if it means becoming the left guard's enemy or dying, as it is his duty as her grandfather's friend. He asks them again to step aside because he cannot stand by while things spiral out of control. Despite this, Una stands firm, prompting Bayek to raise his sword and ask for her forgiveness for what he is about to do. At that moment, Kang arrives swiftly, attacking Bayek and pushing him away from Una. Kang stands before Bayek, visibly furious, demanding to know what is going on. As Kang looks at Bayek, he realizes he had anticipated this but did not expect it to happen so quickly. Bayek shocks them by informing them that the Manhwa sect is on its way to this location after hearing about the current events. Bayek asks Kang what he expected would happen when a new blood demon appears while the sect is fragmented. He adds that the first thing others will do is sacrifice him, but Kang counters by stating that the Manhwa sect has no reason to betray the blood demon. When Bayek points to the possibility that the new lord is a spy, Kang becomes furious, asking if Beck believes he could fail to recognize genuine blood demon techniques. Beck explains that the divine heavenly demon sect has studied blood demon techniques for a long time and may have already mastered them. Kang asks Beck to stop, but Beck shouts that the situation will not change, even if this new lord is the true blood demon. Beck suggests that the only solution to avoid division is to kill the new lord. At this point, Kang begins to lose his patience and tells Bayek that he has crossed every permissible boundary. Bayek responds that he cannot stand by while his friend throws himself into ruin. A fight breaks out between them, with Kang threatening to cut off Beck's hands and feet before asking the blood demon for forgiveness. Beck replies that he is ready to die if necessary. Before the fight escalates, Aaron steps out of the house and orders them to stop. Beck is stunned to find Aaron standing directly behind him, feeling an overwhelming energy that freezes him in place. As for Kang, the moment he sees Aaron, he kneels to pay his respects. Beck stands in disbelief, unable to comprehend how Aaron managed to exit the house and approach him unnoticed. Kang urges Beck to kneel and pay respect to the blood demon, but Beck remains preoccupied, realizing that Aaron could have easily killed him without him even noticing. Beck looks at Aaron, who stands silently with his hand in his pocket, wondering if he truly is the blood demon. He observes Aaron's red hair and eyes, realizing that he has clearly mastered the blood demon techniques, leaving no doubt that he is indeed the blood demon. Beck sheathes his sword, stands before Aaron, and addresses him as the new blood demon. Aaron notices Kang still sitting on the ground and orders him to stand up, expressing his dislike for such behavior. He then asks why Kang attempted to sever the limbs of a sect member while the sect is already fractured. Kang apologizes for his actions. Aaron then turns to Bayek, informing him that he was planning to kill him but now will not, and asks if Bayek prefers to live or die. Bayek, visibly tense and afraid, apologizes to Aaron, explaining that the sect currently serves another blood demon. He admits his concerns about the sect members splitting due to the emergence of a new blood demon after they had just achieved stability. Aaron remarks that it's good for an elder to be courageous, and asks Beck for his opinion on what should be done. Beck suggests that Aaron provide proof that he is the true blood demon. Aaron thinks for a moment before producing a small blood orb from his finger and holding it up for Beck to see, asking if it is sufficient as proof. Beck stares at the blood orb in disbelief, unable to fathom how Aaron created it, or how it is saturated with the full energy of the blood demon. Beck becomes certain that Aaron is the true blood demon, and kneels on the ground to pay his respects. Blaming himself for doubting the true blood demon, Beck draws his sword to cut off his right hand as punishment. Suddenly, his sword flies out of his hand and falls away as Aaron intervenes using his power. Aaron reminds him of the command not to sever limbs, and asks why he is failing to follow orders. In another scene, Bayek, Kang, and Una are shown kneeling before Aaron inside the house. Aaron appears displeased with their actions, and orders them to sit on the couch instead of the floor. Kang responds that they cannot sit at the same level as the blood demon. Losing hope in changing their minds, Aaron tells them to do as they wish. He reflects on how he felt his strength growing over the past week, but is now certain of it. Kang asks if he has reached the transcendent demon stage. Aaron replies that he has not yet. Kang comments that his progress is exceptionally fast, and that he will undoubtedly reach it soon. Beck interjects, pointing out that the current blood demon has already reached the transcendent demon stage, and his assistant, the first elder, has attained the ascendant demon stage. Beck adds that this is why the other elders refuse to accept a new blood demon. Una speaks up, proposing the only solution. Aaron must quickly advance to the transcendent demon stage and defeat the current blood demon. She explains that, at that point, the elders will have no choice but to accept the new blood demon. Aaron replies that no one can predict how long that will take, and he may not reach that stage at all. He adds that the current blood demon and his assistant will not wait long. Turning to Bayek, he asks if his assumption is correct, noting that the blood sect has learned of his existence and is now heading to this location to eliminate him. Kang kneels quickly before Aaron, apologizing and explaining that he thought the fourth elder might change his allegiance, only to discover that he had become a follower and subordinate of the current blood demon. Aaron responds that he understands the situation and tells Kang to stop hitting his head against the ground over such a trivial matter. He then informs them that, given how things have escalated, they will go together to meet the current blood demon. The scene transitions to a new setting, taking the story back to its beginning, where it is revealed that upon crossing the gates, people found themselves in unknown lands filled with monsters. However, if humans managed to pass through the dungeon located there, they would find themselves in an entirely different world. It is also explained that humans discovered these dungeons when the barriers between the gates across the world were destroyed. Humanity survived thanks to these dungeons. Later, humans with supernatural abilities emerged, who came to be known as players. However, these players were not as powerful as the inhabitants of other worlds, who had lived for long periods and fought numerous wars against mysterious beings no one knew about. For this reason, the world eventually accepted their intervention, and the dominant powers became Einhart and Ion, which divided the world between them and imposed their control. Since then, Einhart has controlled the western regions, while Ion has dominated the Asian territories. Ion gained control over most of Korea. As for the Blood Sect, it became the enemy of all Ion forces, which is why it has kept the entrance to its headquarters hidden from them throughout this time. When Eren and his companions arrived, Eren observed the location and remarked that the door did not match the original structure of the building. He asked if there was a similar door near the Bukhansan River. Una replied that she had improved its appearance slightly, because the door leading to the Blood King's castle needed to stand out. He then asked if she really planned to hide this door. Una explained that they had bypassed all the magical traps and defenses of the Blood Sect, so they no longer needed to hide it. She assured him that no one from other worlds had been able to reach this door, and that he was the only one who had. She then asked if this was his first time in the world of Ion. He replied that it was not his first time, as he had been there before. Surprised, Una remarked that she wasn't shocked because he had been extraordinary even when he was just a player. Eren responded that if he had lived an ordinary life like everyone else, he would not have reached this position. He then told her that the conversation was enough and asked her to open the door. Una complied and opened the castle door. When the door opened, they were greeted by a strong light emanating from the small entrance. Una stood, welcoming Eren as the Bloodlord, and declared that this was the Blood Castle. However, upon entering, Eren was shocked by the state of the place, which had once been a sanctuary that seemed to belong to another world, but was now in a very poor condition. Eren commented that he had heard it was deteriorating but had not expected it to be this bad. Kang felt responsible for what they saw and apologized to Eren for the state of the sect. Eren asked about the reason behind this condition. Una explained that the truth few people knew was that the world of Ion was part of a ruined world. She added that it needed energy to survive, such as the kind found in magical stones obtained from hunting monsters or from gate cores. She further explained that the Blood Castle was a massive place, even larger than other worlds. Eren continued her explanation, stating that he understood that the castle also required energy. He added that this was why they needed to recruit new members for the sect. Una confirmed his statement. Eren then asked why the River Guild, despite its size, had not worked harder to collect magical stones. Kang replied that it was to avoid drawing attention to themselves. Kang continues, explaining that if the Volcano Guild or the River Guild discovered the location of the Blood Castle, the future of the entire sect would be at risk. Una confirms Kang's statement but adds another reason. The elders prohibited hunting the gate monsters. When Eren asks why, she explains that the elders believe the disciples of the Bloodlord hunting monsters contradicts the sect's teachings. Eren realizes the situation is worse than he had imagined and declares that this reality must be changed quickly. Eren then asks Bayek for his opinion on these misguided decisions. Bayek replies that he did not agree with them, which is why he established his own guild, the Cold Tiger Clan, to continue working independently of the sect's influence. Soon after, a group of castle guards appears and informs Eren and his companions that they have been expecting him. Una recognizes them and explains that they are the Blood Sword Unit, the personal guard of the Bloodlord. The unit's leader, Young-Chi, tells Eren that they have orders to escort him to the Bloodlord and asks them to follow. Una feels uneasy and raises her sword, accusing them of coming to capture them. Beck also draws his sword, declaring that they will not surrender easily. Jung responds that they have not come to fight, but will have no other choice if forced. Both sides prepare for a confrontation, but Eren intervenes, asking everyone to stop and announcing that he will go with the Blood Sword Unit. Una tries to stop him, speaking to him, but he reassures her that they came specifically for him and that he will go with them. He instructs her, Beck, and Kang not to worry and to follow him. Despite their concerns, they comply with his order and head to the throne room in the Bloodlord's palace. Kang feels afraid for Eren but reassures himself, knowing Eren has grown stronger after his solitary training. When the current Bloodlord meets Eren, he sees Kang and accuses him of betrayal, saying he never expected such treachery from one of his closest guards. Kang responds defiantly, stating that he has found the true Bloodlord. The current Bloodlord becomes enraged, and the elders begin attacking Kang verbally, accusing him of treason and speaking nonsense. However, the current Bloodlord calms down and says he never believed in the existence of another Bloodlord, shocking the elders and raising their doubts about whether Eren is truly the Bloodlord. The current Bloodlord continues, saying this is excellent because he can use Eren's power to become the god of blood. This statement shocks Kang and Beck, while the elders express admiration for the current Bloodlord's wisdom, believing his transformation into the god of blood will enable them to control everything. Eren, however, responds that what the current Bloodlord said is utter nonsense, and orders him to step down from the throne and stand before him. Eren challenges the current Bloodlord, declaring that he will show him how weak and pathetic he and his followers truly are. The current Bloodlord becomes furious at Eren's audacity, questioning how he dares to speak in such a manner. The elders are also enraged, with one of them suggesting that the Bloodlord need not intervene personally, as they will take care of Aaron. The current Bloodlord agrees and orders the elders to deal with Aaron. The elders gather before Aaron, each using their abilities to attack him. Kang feels anxious about all the elders ganging up on Aaron. However, he notices that the first elder does not step forward with the others, indicating that he will not intervene in the confrontation. Kang recalls that the first elder is loyal to traditional martial arts and despises the underhanded tactics employed by the other elders, making him a rare bright spot amidst this tense situation. However, he realizes that the power gap between Aaron alone and the combined strength of the elders is vast. Kang thinks it would have been better to confront the elders individually and believes Aaron should not have come to this place now. Aaron senses the anxiety of Una, Kang, and Bayek regarding his confrontation with the elders, especially Una. He reassures them, telling them not to worry, because he will not die. Una asks if he means he is immortal, but he clarifies that it is not entirely the case. He explains that he cannot lose to the elders because his defeat would mean the destruction of the entire world. Aaron tells her that he does not want the world to be destroyed before he can find his mentors again. When Una asks what he means, he explains that he has thought a lot about what he would do upon returning. Despite the importance of revenge to him, he has decided to repay his mentors for what they did for him. He vows to recover everything his mentors lost in this world and return it to them while ensuring his dominance over everything so that no one can take anything from him. In his imagination, Aaron sees King Muyang telling him that he will grant him his strength. Aaron resolves to return everything his mentors once had, so they will not be destroyed by revenge one day. Standing before the elders, Aaron tells them to begin and use all their strength. One of the elders starts by releasing the toxic blood poison into the air. Kang screams a warning for Aaron to move away and rushes to save him. However, Beck runs after Kang and pulls him back by force, questioning if Kang wants to kill himself. Beck considers approaching Aaron himself, but sees that Aaron has plunged deep into the toxic air, leaving Beck unable to do anything now. He decides to stay with Kang and Una to protect them, and creates a barrier to shield them from the toxic air. Within the barrier, Aaron stands amidst the elders while the elder who released the poison laughs, boasting that even the current Bloodlord avoids this deadly toxin, making Aaron's death certain. Kang is terrified, imagining that Aaron might be heading toward death. Una assures him that Aaron is fine, though Kang doubts her words. She insists that her intuition tells her Aaron will save the blood sect, despite the poison being lethal even to masters of blood arts. Amid the toxic air, Aaron stands unharmed. He asks the elders if this is the best they can do, shocking them with his ability to withstand the poison. The elder who released the poison feels disheartened, having hoped to take Kang's position. Aaron reprimands the elders, stating that their actions are the reason the blood sect is crumbling. He accuses them of being completely isolated from the outside world and indifferent to what happens beyond it. He describes them as backward and unaware of the events around them. He asks if they have any knowledge of the martial artists' level in the outside world, comparing them to that of a mere guild. Aaron accuses the elders of ignoring the advice of the left guard and the priestess regarding the outside world. The elders become angry, and one of them suggests they all attack Aaron together. The others agree and charge at him with their weapons. Aaron uses his abilities, lightly exhaling a breath and asking them if they know why the Bloodlord is called a god. He explains that it is because of the absolute authority he holds over the blood sect. At this moment, the elders are paralyzed, unable to move or do anything. Kang watches in stunned silence, unable to believe that Aaron is alive and in complete control. Kang asks Aaron which elders deserve to live. Aaron responds, saying the first elder, the sixth elder, and the blood sword unit should be spared. With a snap of his fingers, all the other elders perish, leaving only the first elder, the sixth elder, and the blood sword unit alive. At that moment, the current Bloodlord sits on the sect's throne, seething with rage at Aaron. Aaron turns to him, sarcastically commenting on his survival, noting that if the Bloodlord had truly mastered the blood arts, he would already be under Aaron's control and dead. Aaron declares him a fake Bloodlord who merely played the role convincingly. The current Bloodlord, now furious, begins unleashing his powers to attack Aaron. He forms a massive blood sphere, shaping it into an enormous blood sword. Ona screams, recognizing the technique as the Blood Demon Sword. The massive sword transforms into a colossal blood dragon as the Bloodlord declares that he has reached the third form of the Blood Demon Sword technique. The enormous dragon attacks Aaron as Ona and Kang look on in terror for Aaron's life. The Bloodlord vows that his dragon will tear Aaron to pieces and reduce him to a pool of blood. However, Aaron, shielded by a large protective bubble, responds calmly, remarking that the Bloodlord's actions are meaningless. He asks if this is truly the Blood Demon Sword technique, and points out that the true master would never have designed such a technique. The current Bloodlord, enraged, demands to know what Aaron means by his comments. Aaron calmly replies that the true master never designed a sword technique for use in the heavenly blood demon art. The Bloodlord, now furious, unleashes his blood dragon at Aaron, vowing to kill him. Aaron, maintaining his composure, decides to respond in kind. He forms a blood sphere in his hand, which transforms into a serpentine dragon. Aaron sends his serpent dragon to counter the Bloodlord's massive dragon. The Bloodlord laughs mockingly at Aaron's creation, calling it nothing more than a small worm. He declares that his dragon will devour the worm, and indeed, the colossal dragon swallows Aaron's serpent. However, an enormous explosion suddenly occurs, destroying the massive dragon instantly. The force of the blast sends blood scattering everywhere, making it impossible for Kang and Ona to see what is happening. When the explosion subsides, the Bloodlord is seen kneeling on the ground before Aaron, weakened and having fallen from his throne. The Bloodlord realizes, upon feeling the energy during the clash, that Aaron has reached the stage of the extreme demon. Yet, he wonders how Aaron, who is supposedly at a lower stage, managed to defeat him. Aaron interrupts his thoughts, speaking about the Bloodlord's past. He remarks how the Bloodlord was once the youngest disciple of the demon sect, a troublemaker who mastered the blood demon art and rose to become a promising young leader. Aaron mocks the situation, calling it laughable that the sect trusted and elevated him to the position of leader of the blood demon sect. He then questions the Bloodlord's claim of mastery over the blood demon art and asks if he truly belongs to the Chun family. Noticing the Bloodlord's silence, Aaron asserts that his suspicions appear correct. He tells him that there are many questions he'd like to ask, and deems this the perfect time. Looking at the Bloodlord, who is now seated on the ground, Aaron declares that he won't kill him, as he might need someone like him later. This declaration infuriates the Bloodlord, who yells at Aaron, accusing him of arrogance. He rises and uses his power to transform into an entirely different form. Everyone stands in shock, and Ona exclaims that she recognizes this form, describing it as the divine blood demon form. Aaron, however, corrects her, stating that she's mistaken. He explains that this isn't the divine blood demon form, but rather the result of using the reverse blood technique, a last resort method a fighter employs when all other options in battle have been exhausted. The Bloodlord, increasingly enraged, declares that he will absorb Aaron and become the true divine blood demon. Aaron stands his ground, inviting him to try if he thinks he can succeed. This further provokes the Bloodlord, who charges at Aaron, shouting to silence him. Aaron catches the Bloodlord's hands mid-attack and tells him he knows exactly what he's trying to do, use greater internal energy to overpower him, and that he had anticipated this move. The Bloodlord, angered, accuses Aaron of arrogance and claims his internal energy surpasses that of anyone, even those referred to as the Hand. The Bloodlord laughs as he attacks Aaron again, declaring that the time has come for him to absorb the power of the blood demon. He adds that for over 20 years, he has been revered as the blood demon, having absorbed the blood of tens of thousands. As their struggle continues, the Bloodlord wonders how Aaron has managed to fend off all his attacks. He believes that with his amplified power from the reverse blood technique, Aaron cannot resist him, and that victory is assured. Aaron surprises him by stating that he knows exactly what he's thinking, that Aaron can't withstand his internal energy. The Bloodlord is shocked that Aaron can speak so calmly during an internal energy struggle, which demands complete focus. Aaron answers his thoughts, explaining that an internal energy clash involves burning internal power to dominate the opponent, with the amount of energy used being the critical factor in the process. However, he adds that in the case of the blood demon absorption technique, the key isn't the amount of energy, but control. Aaron begins to explain that he won't burn his energy, but will use control alone, promising the current Bloodlord to show him how it's done. Suddenly, the Bloodlord screams in pain as Aaron calmly informs him that this is the blood absorption technique. Kang and Ona watch in utter shock, hearing the Bloodlord's cries, unable to believe what they are witnessing. Eventually, the Bloodlord collapses on the ground in a pitiful state unlike anything they've seen before. The Bloodlord suddenly finds himself in a strange place, unsure of his surroundings. Aaron appears before him and asks if he has now witnessed the demon blood absorption technique, making the Bloodlord realize that Aaron has entered his consciousness. In the real world, the Bloodlord remains on the ground in the same state, muttering through tears, "Long live the blood demon." Aaron stands over him and states that the blood he absorbed is full of impurities and that he will keep only what is useful and discard the rest. Indeed, Aaron's body begins expelling the unneeded blood, visibly purging it from his system. Aaron reflects on how he will gather all the power he needs from the Bloodlord's Dantian. He recalls the words of King Moyang about integrated capabilities working like gears in a machine. He acknowledges that this is the pinnacle of true blood mastery, affirming that he has achieved the integrated blood demon arts. Kang and Ona watch in disbelief, with Kang thinking that what Aaron has done was an immense gamble. However, Kang admits that the blood sect desperately needed a radical change. He reflects that even with the emergence of the blood demon, the sect had no hope for a better future in its previous state. As such, Kang resolves to stay with Aaron despite knowing their odds are slim, and their defeat seemed inevitable. He hopes their sacrifice might give the Blood Sect a chance to receive a new blood demon. Looking at the fallen Blood Lord, Kang remarks that even Sobok, who inherited and mastered the ultimate blood demon arts over generations, was defeated by Aaron. He points out that this happened without Sobok being able to resist, and more importantly, that in his final moments, Sobok acknowledged the existence of a new blood demon. Aaron then calls out to Ona as he used to but corrects himself, addressing her as priestess, and asks if she had expected what happened. Ona responds by saying that the blood demon is the ruler of the blood sect, capable of performing miracles. She looks at Aaron and affirms that all she knows is that Aaron is indeed the true blood demon. Aaron then stands and surveys the elders, the blood sword unit, Kang, Ona, and Bayek, all waiting for his next command. He recalls the words of his mentor, King Moyang, who described them as pitiable and entrusted Aaron to take good care of them. At that moment, Aaron notices the first elder standing before him, anger evident on his face. Kang shouts at the first elder, questioning how he can remain oblivious to the reality despite everything he has seen. However, everyone is surprised when the first elder extends his hands in welcome to Aaron. He states that they have been waiting for the blood demon for 10,000 years. The first elder then kneels on the ground, saluting Aaron with the words, "Long live the blood demon." The rest of the hall follows suit, kneeling and chanting in unison, "Long live the blood demon." Aaron looks at them, reflecting that they are just like him. They had been waiting desperately, just as he had been waiting for revenge after losing everything. He realizes that they lived with the hope of the blood demon's arrival, and his mission as his mentor's disciple is now to fulfill their aspirations. As Aaron's bloody tears begin to flow, covering his entire body, Kang observes this and declares, "He is the blood lord we've waited for our entire lives. He is the ruler of the blood sect." Kang then confirms with certainty that Aaron is the blood demon. The crowd begins chanting as one, "Long live the blood demon for 10,000 years." Aaron commanded everyone to stop immediately, stating that he had anticipated this reaction. He ordered them to rise and declared that he disliked such displays and didn't want them repeated. The first elder informed Aaron that the law required them to kneel and worship the blood demon upon his emergence. Aaron turned to the priestess and asked about their laws. Ona replied that the law stated the sect must follow the blood lord's commands, meaning his words were the law. Aaron then told them that they had heard the priestess's explanation and were therefore breaking their own law. The elders rose and obeyed his orders. At that moment, the former blood lord, Sobok, who everyone thought was dead, stirred. Beck noticed, and was shocked to see him alive, immediately rushing toward him with his sword to finish him off. However, Aaron stopped him, stating that Sobok was no longer a threat and was as good as dead. Aaron recognized that the confrontation had completely destroyed Sobok. Aaron then revealed his intent to uncover the vile members of the Celestial clan as well. The first elder asked what he meant by that. Aaron pointed his fingers at Sobok's lifeless body on the ground. Sobok's body began to move unnaturally, as if his bones were reshaping and forming a new structure. Everyone was stunned by what they saw, and the first elder commented that Sobok had been using the reverse dragon technique. Beck asked Kang why he hadn't detected the reverse dragon technique, to which Kang replied that even the previous sect leader had been unable to discover or notice it. Aaron then told Kang that he had previously mentioned their connection to the Celestial clan, as Kang attempted to respond. Aaron interrupted, telling Kang that he surely realized these were defensive techniques allowing a person to alter their physical form to avoid recognition. Kang began to ponder, suspecting these techniques belonged to the Celestial demon arts. However, Aaron informed him that this discussion would be addressed later. Aaron then called out to the priestess and asked if the blood pool still existed, stating his desire to visit it. In the next scene, Ona escorted Aaron to the location of the blood pool. Aaron felt the energy saturating the area, and how it was purifying his body entirely. As he walked, he reflected that to outsiders, this energy might seem like concentrated demonic energy. Ona informed him that they had arrived, explaining that this was where all the blood of the sect's members was collected. She added that the sect leaders offered their blood here, and that the pool was given to sect members during their initiation. Ona presented ceremonial attire to Aaron for the initiation ritual, but he refused, stating he hadn't come for formalities. He stood at the blood pool and asked her opinion about rulers. Ona responded that he was the true blood lord, and the ruler of this entire world. Aaron left her and approached the pool, explaining that her response wasn't what he was expecting. Standing directly before the pool, he told her she didn't understand his meaning because no one had ever explained it to her before. He then asked her to watch closely to understand why he was the ruler. He raised his hand and let droplets of his blood fall into the pool. Suddenly, the entire area began to quake. Outside, Kang, Beck, and the others felt the tremors, and Kang grew concerned for the blood lord. The scene returned to Aaron, who was sensing the energy of all the sect's members within the castle. Outside, people began to sense that something strange was happening. Back at the blood pool, a massive blood vortex appeared after Aaron's blood merged with the pool. Ona, stunned, asked what was happening, noting that she had never seen or read about anything like this in the sacred texts. Aaron replied that this was expected since such an event hadn't occurred even during the time their mentor, Moyang, was among them. Aaron recalled when Moyang told him that the Bloodlord arts he had taught him differed from the ones Moyang originally used. When Aaron asked why, Moyang explained that Mao had pointed it out, revealing that the Bloodlord arts resembled a spell used by another destructive race in Hell. Although these arts were combat-oriented and created by Moyang himself, they were not as malevolent as the techniques of some other races. For this reason, Mao had helped Moyang reconstruct the Bloodlord arts from scratch. Moyang explained that testing the new arts required immense power, a task that became Aaron's new responsibility. The scene returned to Aaron at the blood pool, contemplating how the Bloodlord arts were a fusion of combat techniques and spells. He further reflected that blood techniques formed the foundation that empowered these arts. Aaron affirmed that if he had the power to enforce punishment, he must also be capable of granting blessings to become a true ruler. Reaching his hand into the blood vortex within the pool, a powerful light akin to an explosion erupted. The blood vortex transformed into a rain of blood that fell on Aaron and Ona, who stood at a distance. Ona collapsed to the ground, asking Aaron what was happening, suddenly feeling an immense energy coursing through her body. Aaron reassured her not to worry, telling her that things would be different when she woke up. Suddenly, she lost consciousness and fell to the ground. The greater surprise was that Ona wasn't the only one who lost consciousness. Everyone in the Blood Sect's castle also fainted. A new scene began, showing an unprecedented atmosphere of joy filling the castle. Aaron sat on the Bloodlord's throne, asking if they were truly this happy. He observed that Kang, Beck, and the First Elder appeared noticeably younger, and asked if they felt rejuvenated. They all knelt before him, attributing it to the blessing of the Bloodlord. Aaron reminded them that he had forbidden such gestures. Looking at them, Aaron noticed that everyone had not only regained their youth, but also grown stronger, with their eyes turning red, a symbol of the divine Bloodlord arts. Aaron asked Bayek to prick his finger to examine his blood, and Bayek immediately complied. They discovered that Bayek's blood had turned purple, sparking great excitement among the group. Aaron asked if they knew the significance of purple blood and why they felt such elation. Beck admitted that he didn't understand the meaning of purple blood, but shared that since fainting and waking up, his internal energy had doubled. Aaron explained that the transformation depended on their original strength. He revealed that the Left Guardian and the First Elder's blood had also turned purple. Pointing to Ona, he suggested that she might have reached an even higher stage, black blood. Ona was astonished, questioning how this could happen when the Elder's power far exceeded hers. Aaron responded, surprised at her question, suggesting it might be because she was the priestess. Aaron then informed everyone that their newfound strength was thanks to him, emphasizing that this was the power of the new divine Bloodlord arts. He assured them that in the future, they would learn blood techniques that would grant them even greater power, though they would remain subordinate to him. Aaron requested to check on the state of the sect's followers outside the castle. Kang informed him of a place where they could get a clear view of everything. Upon reaching the vantage point, Aaron observed that the people's condition had vastly improved compared to what he saw initially. Kang explained that the residents of the Blood Castle had regained their health and vitality after enduring prolonged suffering from hunger and disease. Aaron agreed, acknowledging the positive transformation. Aaron added that this situation wouldn't last long because they lacked sufficient funds to feed everyone. Kang and Bayek apologized, pointing out that this was due to the negligence of the former guardians and elders. Aaron clarified that the blame didn't lie with them, but rather with the right guardian and the elders who had destroyed his possessions, stating that they would pay the price even in death and would find no peace. Aaron's anger was evident as he expressed his dissatisfaction with their irresponsible actions. He asked Kang if it was true that their resources wouldn't last more than a month. Kang confirmed, adding that they had sold all the shares of Kang Group and that the guild was on the brink of dissolution. Kang explained that they had planned to raid some gates, but the emergence of the Bloodlord had halted those plans. Aaron, frustrated with the situation, questioned why King Moyang had entrusted him with this sect. Kang interrupted his thoughts, explaining that their immediate priority was the elders. He informed Aaron that the first elder had been responsible for the Blood Sword Palace, and the second elder for the Blood Gold Palace, with each having a specific role. However, with the elders now deceased, these roles were left unfilled. Aaron ordered the promotion of the deputies of the palaces to elder positions, stating that they had learned everything from the elders and would be capable of performing the required duties. Kang objected, arguing that the deputies had been loyal to the elders and suggested punishing all who were subservient to the Bloodlord as an example. Aaron rejected the idea, explaining that reducing the number of sect members was unnecessary, especially since their numbers were already small. Kang tried to convince him of the need to eliminate potential seeds of rebellion. Aaron stopped him and asked if he thought they could stand against him, adding that it wasn't important at the moment. He then instructed Kang to carry out his orders. Aaron then informed Kang that from this moment onward, he would be the blood leader. Kang was stunned and asked Aaron to clarify what he meant. Aaron reaffirmed that Kang would be the blood leader. Seeing Kang's confusion, Aaron explained that the blood leader was not the same as the blood lord. He pointed out that no one had ever properly performed the role of the blood lord before, but it was natural for there to be a separation between the ruler and the leader. Aaron continued, stating that Kang Group was on the verge of bankruptcy and should have gone bankrupt long ago, but it was Kang's efforts that had prevented this. He emphasized that Kang's deep love for the sect and understanding of the balance between the castle and the outside world made him the most suitable person to lead. Aaron then asked the present elders for their opinions and whether they had any objections. Beck and the first elder responded, saying that the Blood Lord's will must be followed. Aaron officially announced Kang's appointment as the Blood Sect's leader, starting immediately. Kang bowed before Aaron, pledging to do his utmost to meet Aaron's expectations and to be worthy of the great position bestowed upon him. Aaron approached Kang, placed a hand on his shoulder, and told him that those were the words he had wanted to hear. He then asked Kang what his next steps would be. Kang looked at Aaron and explained that the Blood King city lacked resources and funds, asking how this issue could be resolved. Turning to the present elders, Kang asked if they had any ideas, but they remained silent. At that moment, Ona intervened, offering to take responsibility for the matter. She explained that while she might not know the castle as well as Kang, she was more familiar with the outside world than anyone in the sect and had also contributed to managing Kang Group. Ona requested a week from Aaron, promising to find solutions to the urgent problems. Aaron considered her words and acknowledged her previous involvement in managing Kang's businesses. He agreed, granting her full authority and urging her to do her best. Days passed, and after a week, Ona approached Aaron to present her report on the progress she had made. When Aaron asked what she had done, Ona informed him that she had sold all the shares of Kang Group's properties. Aaron was initially shocked and asked if selling all the assets was truly necessary. Ona explained that the tasks they needed to accomplish with Kang Group had already been completed. She also informed him that they had sealed off the entrance to the Blood Palace. Additionally, she detailed a plan to maintain their identities, emphasizing that they no longer had any vested interest in Kang Group. She pointed out that if they had tried to operate and expand it, the primary beneficiaries would have been the other stakeholders, not them. Ona added that had they waited any longer, the value of the shares would have declined, resulting in significant losses, which is why they acted swiftly to resolve the matter. Aaron remarked that assigning her to this task was a wise decision, and Ona thanked him for his trust. She then revealed that they had also sold the Kangja Guild to the Cold Tiger Guild. Aaron, surprised, asked if even the other guild had been sold. Ona reminded him of the third elder's words when he visited them at the villa, noting that he had mentioned their guild had been attacked by the Hua Mountain Guild. Aaron thought about the Hua Mountain Guild and commented that now was not the time, explaining that his easy takeover of the castle was due to the connection between the blood arts and the blood puppet. He added that if they engaged in a conflict with the Hua Mountain Guild now, the castle they had just secured could collapse entirely. Ona continued, saying that these reasons led her to believe they needed a fresh start. Aaron asked what she meant, and she explained that they would establish a new guild with new identities. She acknowledged the emergence of many new powers, and admitted her idea might seem reckless or impossible, but their guild was no longer the same as it had been. Aaron agreed, noting that even if the guild improved, its current state made it difficult to manage even the basics. Ona asked if he thought the guild was truly in such a bad condition. Aaron replied that the guild lacked experience, and that fighting gate monsters was entirely different from fighting humans. Feeling disheartened, Ona admitted he was right. However, Aaron reassured her, saying she could gain experience over time and that there was a way to make her stronger. Ona eagerly asked about this method, but Aaron told her he would explain it later. He then asked if she had decided on a name for the guild. Ona revealed she had, proposing the name, the Supreme Emperor Aaron Guild. Aaron immediately rejected the name, asking her to forget it entirely. Scrambling to think of another name, Ona waited as Aaron suggested they name it Galactic. Ona is surprised and asks him why he chose her real name for the guild. Aaron explains to her that she will be the leader of this guild, but she protests, saying that the guild leader must be a bloodlord, and she doesn't dare take on such a role. Aaron asks her why she acts foolishly in such situations, reminding her that it's essential not to appear on the surface. He further explains that no one knows her appearance or identity, making her the perfect candidate to lead the guild. He also clarifies that the Hua Mountain Guild will not stop pursuing him for the time being. We transition to a new scene showing a D-grade gate in the city of Namyango, filled with massive monsters. A player appears, attacking the monsters and cutting off the fingers of one. He then slays the monster, declaring his blessing complete. However, the player is shocked to find the monster still alive. Gripping his sword, he pulls it out of the creature's body despite having pierced its heart. At this moment, Ona appears and slashes the monster into 100 pieces. After finishing it, she tosses something to the player, informing him that without using holy spells, zombies cannot be killed. From this scene, we understand that Ona is one of the guild members under her leadership. Another player announces that the entire area has been cleared of monsters. At that time, Ona orders them to absorb demon blood. We return to the moment where Eren was explaining to Ona how to absorb demon blood, noting that it wasn't possible in the past, but is now achievable. He clarifies that this change is because everyone is now directly connected to him. The next scene shifts to an underground bar called Dong Diamond. Inside the bar, patrons are discussing a new guild that has emerged in Namyango. One of them mentions hearing about a guild called Galactic, adding that it originates from the Gangjin Guild. Another person notes that Chiong from the Hua Mountain Guild has already made a move, asking his companion about Chiong, the leader of the Plum Blossom team, and what drove him to act. Meanwhile, Eren is seen sitting in the very bar where these discussions are happening. The bar manager notices him and comments that if there's an issue regarding the previous mission, it's not a significant matter. The manager offers Eren a drink, adding that tasks undertaken in such places are usually of a different nature. However, Eren declines to drink. The bar manager asks if he has recently joined the church, explaining that their relationship with the church is very strong. He then suggests that if Eren is affiliated with the church, he isn't here for personal reasons, and asks if his visit concerns the church. Eren replies that his visit involves something similar. The manager inquires about Eren's purpose for being there. He replies that he came for power within the dark net. The manager objects, stating he has no authority to make such arrangements. But Eren takes out a metallic token with specific engravings and places it before the manager. The manager is astonished upon seeing it, asking with interest if Eren is an elder. When Eren confirms this, the manager informs him that fulfilling his request will require significant payment. Eren responds that he will pay in the form of information. The manager appears intrigued. Eren then tells him that the information he will provide concerns the replacement of the current Bloodlord.